Blinken's at NATO headquarters in Brussels, Belgium, for more meetings about Ukraine. More live from Fox's Evan Brown.
Yeah, Chris, Ukraine's foreign minister pleaded yet again with NATO officials, this time in Brussels, for the alliance to arm his nation so they can fight off the invading Russian military.
Because, as weird as it may sound, but today weapons serve the purpose of peace.
And Dmytro Kubelev says his country is still finding bodies of apparently tortured and murdered civilians in towns like Bucha near Kyiv and others, insisting war crimes and atrocities have been committed, Chris.
Evan, thanks. 2 men in Washington, D.C. are charged with posing as federal agents, giving free apartments, electronics, and police gear to Secret Service agents as gifts. Prosecutors have not said what the men were trying to accomplish by posing as law enforcement or providing the gifts. They say 4 Secret Service employees were placed on leave this week as part of the investigation. The rapper Kid Creole, real name Nathaniel Glover, is found guilty of manslaughter in New York City. He stabbed John Jolly to death in 2017. Prosecutors say because Glover thought he was gay and hitting on him. Glover claims self-defense. He was a member of Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. They were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. America's listening to Fox News.
Run, walk, honor. The Tunnel to Towers 5K Run and Walk in New York City retraces FDNY firefighter Steven Siller's final footsteps on 9/11. That single event has inspired more than 70 runs, walks, and climbs in different cities across the nation each year. Register for an event in your area or volunteer to start one. Do good and never forget by donating $11 a month at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson's saves you time. It is 6:03 right now. We are expecting a high only around 50 degrees today, even if we get there. And I don't know that we're going to get there today. So you're going to need your umbrella for a little bit later today. More on that in a moment. You're certainly going to need a coat, I should say. 41 right now in Columbia. It's 40 degrees in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone. And here are some of the stories that we are working on for you in this 6 o'clock hour. We begin with the tie election that took place here in Columbia for the 3rd Ward Council race. Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon says right now we are in a holding pattern because the fact that they have to do the certification, which will take into next week. Military votes are due by Friday, so nothing will change today nor the rest of this week. We'll keep you posted on that. You'll recall 3rd Ward Councilman Carl Scala and challenger Roy Lovelady each received 1,102 votes. Speaking of Brianna Lennon, she says more than 19,000 Columbia residents cast ballots on Tuesday in the mayoral election, and she confirms it is the most votes ever cast in a Columbia municipal election. She notes the strong voter turnout citywide, including that hotly contested race in the 3rd Ward.
If you look at some of our city council races that we've had in the past, this tie was not a small tie where it was like, 100 votes to 100 votes. It was over 2,000 votes were cast in the 3rd Ward race.
And you can hear our full Wake Up Columbia interview with Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon that is posted on our website this morning, 939theeagle.com. Meantime, a judge in a few hours will be deciding the fate of a Columbia man who's charged with trying to kill his ex-wife and Boone County Circuit Judge Jeff Harris. ABC 17's Erica McGuire has been covering the bench trial of Murdad Fatuhiam.
Fatuhiam has been in and out of jail since 2015 after posting a $5 million bond 2 different times. It was Judge Harris that put him back in jail the first time when Fatuhiam violated his bond by sending someone to get his medicine from his wife. While in jail, he allegedly tried to hire inmates to carry out the plot to kill his wife and Judge Harris. Futahayim allegedly wanted to kill his wife due to her wanting a divorce, and he didn't want to lose out on money.
That is ABC 17's Erica McGuire reporting from the Boone County Courthouse downtown. Again, she is covering the trial of Futahayim. Judge Stephen Omer heard the closing arguments at the Boone County Courthouse in this case yesterday. Again, we expect a verdict sometime today. It is a bench trial as opposed to a jury trial. Bench trial means the judge is the one hearing the case. Missouri's Capitol Dome was lit teal last night and also early this morning to recognize Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Governor Mike Parson issuing the order in solidarity with victims of sexual assault. The governor says by being responsive to victims in the criminal justice system, we not only show them support, but we also prevent criminals from assaulting again and harming additional victims. You can see that Capitol Dome. It's lit teal right now. I have a picture up on our website, 939theeagle.com, of the Capitol Dome. While the UM system is working to train more doctors as well as dentists and pharmacists in the Show Me State, a state lawmaker says more must be done. Dexter State Representative Herman Morse will testify today in Jefferson City about his 2-page rural physician tax credit bill. It's aimed at providing tax credits to doctors who practice and live in rural counties with less than 35,000 residents. Under the bill, they'd be able to claim a tax credit against their state tax liability. Representative Morse has told me that when he moved to Stoddard County in the 1970s, the Dexter area, there were 15 to 20 physicians who actually lived in the county. Today, that number is 1. He says that there are similar instances all over the state in these rural communities. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this morning by AirServe Heating and Air Conditioning, ensuring the air in which you live and breathe is comfortable and clean for all of your heating needs. Log on to airserve.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 6:07. Turning our attention now to sports. Big day today in St. Louis. Essentially, it is a holiday, opening day for the Cardinals. Also happens to be opening day for the 2022 season. Hall of Famers, just to name a few. I don't want to leave anybody out. Whitey Herzog, Ozzie Smith, Ted Simmons, Bruce Sutter. Others expected to be at the pregame ceremonies. They're going to be ridden around in vehicles along the outfield wall and be cheered on by the fans. Clydesdales will be there as well. You're going to hear a song quite a bit today called Here Comes the King. If you've ever grown up in St. Louis, you'll know the song I'm talking about. The old school sound is going to be coming out of the organ today in St. Louis. Pujols, Wainwright, Molina starting on opening day together. First time since 2009. 1:40, the pregame coverage right here on 93.9 The Eagle with Kevin Wheeler at KMOX. First pitch at 3:15 today. And you have a new dining option in mid-Missouri. If you're traveling to Kingdom City, Calwood businesswoman Becky Wright has opened the Banded Rooster Bar and Grill in Kingdom City with her husband Casey near 70 and 54 Kingdom City. It's an old-time saloon restaurant, and she is the aunt of former Mizzou football star Drew Lock, who was at the restaurant in Kingdom City just last week to celebrate its opening. That according to Inside Columbia Magazine. Our sports brought to you this hour by Atterbury Auction. It's 6:08. Kevin, thanks so much. Weather is brought to you this hour by Club Car Wash. Visit clubcarwash.com. Find a location near you. Here in Columbia, clear skies, 42. Traffic check, midmohires.com. Local companies looking for local people. Midmohires.com to find a job or post your job opening today. Roads are quiet mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, our phone number to call or text 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
We think our message of somebody who has actually run a business and had experience in both the urban neighborhoods of St. Louis and now the rural areas at our family farm outside of Rolla is a combination that works for Missouri. And I cannot do it without Missouri's firefighters. This is the secret to success, and nobody should ever underestimate the power of what you guys can do and what you do for your communities. I want you all to know I'm the underdog.
Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe making it, not making it official, I guess, but he announced his intention to make it official. He announced his intention to put a ring on it and make it for real.
What a dude.
What a man. What a stand-up man. Coming out and saying yesterday at an event for firefighters in Jefferson City, I am indeed going to run for the governor of Missouri, which would be an interesting scenario. And Jay Ashcroft, I think it's universally understood Jay Ashcroft will run. I don't know if he has said that he will.
He's not said publicly. Okay. I've not heard that, although there's been speculation. It seemed like Kehoe wanted to get out in front and be first, but I think this is kind of a big deal. Now, that doesn't mean Secretary Ashcroft could run for something else. We'll just see what he decides to do. But I thought the Kehoe announcement was interesting.
And here's why I find it interesting, because let's say if Ashcroft does, and again, I don't think he's told, at least he hasn't told us or confirmed us, I do indeed intend to run for governor in 2024. I have not heard those words from Jay Ashcroft. Maybe you'll say it tomorrow night, Boone County Lincoln Days. Hannah and I will be there. If you're going to that, please make sure you say hello to us. But here in the GOP in Missouri, I would like to think pretty much we're a tight-knit group of folks. As far as on the political playing field, tight-knit group of folks. I think Kehoe and Ashcroft, I think they get along, and I understand the game of politics, not always fun, man. It's not. But I'm wondering what that, because listen, you get into some of these primaries, especially when you have two, outside of the governor, really two of the biggest names in Missouri, two of the more prominent officers. Lieutenant governor, whose main responsibility is to wake up in the morning, make sure Mike Parson is okay, and then they have more responsibilities than that. They're an advocate for buying Missouri products. They've always,
veterans too.
Veterans too. So Lieutenant Governor, the office of Lieutenant Governor has always done a really good job of that, regardless who has been in that. But I always get worried on stuff like this. You have two popular, solid, conservative candidates wanting to be the governor of Missouri, and potentially what that does. In your experience from a journalistic standpoint, you were in the bowels of the beast for a lot of years in Jefferson City. Interactions between Kehoe and Ashcroft?
Very positive, and a lot of respect between the two. I think it's they have a good relationship, and it's been widely. I mean, here's the thing, Brandon. When it has to be said, the Republicans have so much success right now, supermajorities. They dominate. Nicole Galloway is going to retire this year. She's the only Democratic statewide office holder. The Democrats have a former state representative. I don't know, and he's very well respected. His name's Alan Green, but I don't know how much money Representative Green's going to be able to run. So Republicans will be a favorite to take the auditor position. And I think it highlights the fact that they have so much success that here we are. We're talking. Your questions are all great and very important. I don't think it would be a bitter primary between the two. I wouldn't think so. Could Scott Fitzpatrick jump in? That's another name that's also a possibility down the line. I don't think so, because he's obviously running for auditor. But I would just one history note here. In 1992, when the Republicans would be kind of comparable to what they are now, they had just gigantic support coming off of Ronald Reagan for 10 years and then George H.W. Bush. In 1992, they were a huge favorite. Roy Blunt, Bill Webster, Wendell Bailey were all on the ballot. That was the dirtiest primary I've ever seen in my life, and one of the candidates in that race ended up going to federal prison primarily because of one of those ads that had been run, and also
what did he go to federal prison for?
He used a copy machine down at the that's what they got him for. They were investigating Bill Webster for second injury fund and everything. He ended up going to prison because he used a copy machine for a campaign brochure.
By the way, news on our former governor, Eric Greitens, who's also a 2022 U.S. Senate candidate. No confirmation that he will be at our Boone County Lincoln Days event tomorrow. By the way, we have reached out to his campaign several times to get him on the show so you can hear him explain the latest allegations. We're going to get into that here on 93.9 The Eagle. It scares me whenever you get two, I think, very well-liked, very well-respected conservatives in the same race. We see it all the time, but this one for the governorship of Missouri, that's something we'll be keeping our eye on. Want to get into this news regarding Greitens, but first, bring it back home. Third Ward race. tie. Still wait as it is right now, waiting for the provisional ballots, waiting for military ballots. Sydney Olson, public information officer with the city of Columbia, chatting with her friends at ABC 17 yesterday.
The city clerk can call for a special election, and then there's also another option if candidates both agree to it for there to be a drawing.
They can do a drawing, pull a name out of a hat. I think we should jazz this stuff up a little bit. Instead of like a name out of a hat or drawing straws. Like arm wrestling. I'm always a big fan of arm wrestling. Can you see Carl Scala and Roy Lovelady arm wrestling? I would watch that. We televise it. We put it on ABC 17. We get Brian Hauswirth to do the play-by-play. Carl and Roy in here, and Brian Hauswirth. And it looks like Roy Lovelady has a strong lead here, flexing those biceps against Carl. Oh, but Carl Scala drawing on his military experience. He's made some progress against Mr. Roy Lovelady, the guy seeking that. We just do it differently.
How about rock, paper, scissors?
I'd be on board with that.
Okay.
Let's make it fun. Do a dance-off. Call an 800 number. Vote for your favorite. Let's make it in here. And I'm.
That's what people did, Branden. They voted for their favorite. We tied. We can't do that. I mean, that is an option. We can do that again, but
make it interesting. Because people will watch. How many people are going? Let's say we televise this race between Scala and Lovelady, tied at exactly 1,102 votes while still waiting other ballots. By the way, do we think we'll know? We're not going to know an answer tomorrow.
We're not going to know an answer today nor tomorrow, and I don't think Monday, because she said at least a week. I'm thinking Wednesday at the earliest, but it could take longer than that.
Brianna Lennon, Boone County
exactly.
clerk, talking to us on the show yesterday. That interview is posted on the website, 939theeagle.com. But I think here's why you make that stuff fun. Let's say you're televising this event. Nobody's going to tune in and watch somebody drawing a name out of a hat. Carl Scala and Roy Lovelady in a dance-off. I'm watching it. I bet Hannah, 21 years old, doesn't live in city of Columbia limits. But I think that's something like you would watch out of curiosity.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Would you watch that, Steph?
no.
Yes, you would.
I don't watch a lot of TV.
Well, I don't either.
I don't have a lot of time, but no, maybe.
I do. My gut feeling here, I do think it's a possibility one of them will win, Branden, on, and maybe the military.
You're going out on a stretch there, Brian. You think one of them's going to win. Well, very nice. Can we give it up for our news?
One of them will win. Because
let me finish, Rathert.
Exactly. Theoretically, one of them should win under, when they count provisional ballots and military. But in the case it's still tied, then I really do think you're going to end up seeing another election.
Well,
I do.
And I think what we heard from Brianna yesterday is it really is significant that they tied at such a large number. When you're under 100 votes, ties are pretty common. But once you get over 1,000, a tie is really pretty rare. And so it does go back to every vote counts. And, the person who's sitting in their car right now and thinking, you know what, I just didn't make it to the polls, but I really wanted, a new city council person is thinking, shucks, I should have gone to the polls.
Yep. And 13 voters in the ward voted for a write-in. If one of them, and that was the highest number I could find in any election, 13 write-ins in that race. If one of them had voted for either one, we wouldn't be in this position. So it's just, again, it's kind of unusual.
Anyway, Boone County Clerk's Office, from what I understand, not a big fan of the write-ins, and they're asking local media, please don't encourage because there's actually a process. So
who would encourage that kind of behavior?
They don't do that. Eric Greitens. By the way, we have poll numbers later this morning. Hannah, the producer, posted on 939theeagle.com. GOP Senate primary 2022, very solid field. You have Eric Greitens. People love his conservative brain. A lot of baggage there. What about Dave Schatz? What about Billy Long, who's trailing in the polls? Billy Long, by the way, everything about this guy is right. Seriously, and they're all, I think, really good candidates. But it's not showing up in the polls. Mark McCloskey. We're going to uncover some of the results of that poll later this morning here on 93.9, maybe even at 7:10 or 8:10. Let's do that at 8:10 this morning. We'll uncover the results of our 93.9 The Eagle poll. 8:10 to be here for that. So the latest on Greitens. By the way, all of this stuff is unfolding right here where we live, and it's all across the country. It's in all the political publications. Greitens coming out last week in a story through the Gateway Pundit, and it is fair and necessary to mention Gateway Pundit. They're in the bag for Greitens. I just got to mention that. I'm not passing judgment on the political acumen of Greitens, but some of the latest in court filings, if you were to go downtown Columbia, go to the courthouse, start asking for records. Some of the stuff, not all of it, some you might be able to find online. But you would find a lot of things regarding allegations from the ex-wife. They're in a custody battle right now going along. There's a lot going on there. One of the latest things that we learned yesterday is now she is saying, hey, the abuse that I've been alleging, I have photographs.
And I'm not surprised by that at all. I mean, she's a brilliant woman. She's an expert in her field. She, works at, I think she's a full professor somewhere, but, she's often called on to talk about, international matters and is seen, and so anyone in that position, I think, could expect, and especially I would say with what we know about our former governor, would know that, they would be under high scrutiny. And so if they were going to make those allegations, they would want some proof. And she's not a lawyer, but she's smart enough to know, I think, that his comments about her, disparaging her, were probably coming, and she'd be prepared. And she sounds like she is prepared, according to her.
By the way, her attorney, Columbia Public School Board President Helen Wade.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Just an interesting piece of info there. But some of the things, just so you know, because listen, I don't think there's any of us that we like the conservative brain of Eric Greitens, but there's stuff there that's causing people to question their support for Greitens. We'll see if that shakes out in their poll release coming up 8:10 this morning, I promise. 8:10. Promise. I get tired of hearing complaints when I'm out in public. I'm tired of trying to back Stephanie and Hannah because people get so mad at you guys because you don't remind me of things that I say, hey, we're going to do. And
what are we doing at 8:10? I'm going to write it down right now.
Thank you. Poll results from the 93.9 The Eagle poll. So here's the thing. So this Gateway pundit, I just want to give you some insight. Big story. Here's a headline. Attorney for Eric Greitens, if Karl Rove encouraged witnesses to embellish testimony to take advantage of political campaign, then he is guilty of a crime and should go to jail. That's if. Story last week, and it was labeled from the Greitens camp in an email that his folks sent me. It said definitive proof that he is guilty of none of these allegations. Well, it's not definitive proof. And then they're saying in a press conference, Greitens' attorney said, and if you watch the video to the story, it's not a press conference. It's a reporter from the Gateway Pundit sitting there talking to the attorney of Eric Greitens. And I say all of that because those are the things that concern me. Instead of saying it's the attack. He's attacking. Instead of trying to keep the matter private, he is the one bringing this out into the public, smearing the reputation of the mother of his kids, and that's something that I think about when voting. Daily DC Rundown coming up 6:26. What do you have for us this morning, Steph?
When I think about the Secret Service, I think about like our top-level people, but apparently they got duped.
The dupers got duped. Hear the story with Stephanie Bell. Daily DC Rundown coming up at 6:26 on 93.9 The Eagle. 41.
Download the 93.9 The Eagle app and listen to Wake Up Columbia everywhere. It's easy to do. Geez, even Branden figured it out. 93.9 The Eagle.
I think what you have is Demand Justice, Arabella, the dark money far left progressive groups that have put a lot of effort into putting her on the Supreme Court.
Senator Marsha Blackburn, that's prior to KBJ. She's in the news today. SCOTUS nominee. That's getting us into today's daily DC Rundown with Stephanie Bell on 93.9 The Eagle.
Ketanji Brown Jackson is expected to be confirmed to the Supreme Court today. I believe the vote is expected this afternoon. If confirmed, and of course, 3 Republicans have publicly announced that they are going to vote for her confirmation, which would give her enough votes to be confirmed. If confirmed, she will be the 3rd black justice, the 6th woman, and for the first time ever, the Supreme Court will have 4 of 9 women on the court. So
very impressive stats.
Not very impressive is how our Secret Service apparently got duped by 2 men who were taken into custody yesterday. Apparently, these 2 men were posing as federal agents, and then they were talking to the Secret Service folks, one of whom I think was on the First Lady's security detail, and basically saying, hey, we're going to give you all this free stuff. So they were giving them like free apartments, free TVs, you can use our SUV, you can have this drone, you can have this gun case, and they weren't federal agents at all.
And they do too?
The Secret Service, who's supposed to be, I mean, I assume you have to like pass a test or, you know.
They have a Benny Hill vibe to that story. I hate to say it about the men and women on the front lines, especially as it relates to the federal government, but the Secret Service, federal agents got duped?
Yeah, apparently. And I guess it all came out because they all live together in an apartment building. There's one where a bunch of law enforcement live, and there was some sort of disturbance. And so folks showed up to investigate this disturbance, and then they were like, oh yeah, those guys work for this in law enforcement, and then that investigation of those guys was like, oh, who are these people? They don't work for us. And everyone's like, yeah, they do. They loan their SUV to the Secret Service, and the actual law enforcement's like, I don't know who those people are. And apparently they weren't law enforcement officers or any sort of federal agents at all.
And points for the great explainer, because that sounds absolutely like a Benny Hill story. Coming up, some of the focus from progressives on the far left in D.C. We'll have that coming up for you at 6:35 here on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com.
That check of weather brought to you by Club Car Wash. Visit them at clubcarwash.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. The UN is set to vote today on suspending Russia from its Human Rights Council for its invasion of Ukraine. This as Ukraine's foreign minister makes an appeal in Brussels at NATO headquarters.
My agenda is very simple. It has only 3 items on it. It's weapons, weapons, and weapons.
In Mariupol, the mayor writing this on his Facebook page. The world has not seen the scale of tragedy in Mariupol since the Nazi concentration camps. The racists turned our whole city into a death camp. Unfortunately, the eerie analogy is gaining more and more confirmation. This is no longer Chechnya or Aleppo. This is the new Auschwitz and Majdanek. The world should help punish Putin's villains.
Fox's Griff Jenkins. And the $10 billion COVID spending measure is stalled in the Senate in a face-off over immigration and border policy. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 6:31. So we do have clear skies right now. 42 in Columbia. Our high today will only be around 49. The sun will be rising at 6:45. It sets this evening at 7:38 p.m. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour, a judge hearing a bench trial in a Columbia businessman's conspiracy to commit murder case. He's expected to announce his verdict today. It is a bench trial. Judge Stephen Omer is hearing the case involving 67-year-old Murdad Fatouiam, who's charged with conspiracy to commit murder and several other felonies. He allegedly plotted to kill his ex-wife and allegedly plotted to kill Boone County Judge Jeff Harris. The complicated case dates back to a 2014 Columbia arson case. Other inmates alerting authorities to the alleged plots of the ex-wife and Judge Harris were not injured. This suspect in the case, Fatouiam, has already posted 2 different times $5 million bond. Again, it's a bench trial. We should get a verdict sometime today from Judge Omer. Boone County's clerk says it will take a week to certify Tuesday's election for Columbia's 3rd Ward Council seat. Incumbent Carl Scala, challenger Roy Lovelady finishing in a tie, 1,102 votes each. Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon tells the Eagles Wake Up Columbia they're in a holding pattern because military votes are due by Friday.
The statute has a number of options. There's the option to have a full-on new election. There's the option to flip a coin or to draw names out of a hat.
Tuesday's voter turnout, 24%. A key Missouri lawmaker says the Biden administration and the federal government have failed to do what's needed to protect the nation's electric grid. There'll be a Monday hearing at the Capitol. In the Capitol Dome in Jefferson City lit teal this morning to recognize Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Our news is brought to you live in the 6 o'clock hour by the folks at Mid-America Mortgage. Check them out online, midamericamortgage.us. Our news time, 6:33. Turning our attention now to sports. Opening day for the 2022 baseball season. It's always a big day in St. Louis. A lot of grilling will be going on. They'll actually start cooking. I'm sure people are going to be eating breakfast down there. They'll certainly be eating lunch, and people will enjoy the game. Weather's going to be cold. Our high today will only be around 45 degrees, maybe up to around 48 in St. Louis. You're going to need a jacket. 3:15 first pitch today. Herzog, Smith, Simmons, Suter expected to be among the many at the pregame ceremonies, all Hall of Famers, Clydesdales as well. Now, the Cardinals' website is projecting today that Dylan Carlson will be batting in the leadoff spot playing right field. He hit 8 home runs as a rookie. This projected lineup has Arenado batting 4th with Pujols batting 5th and playing in the designated hitter position. Our news time, 6:34. Traffic check, MidmoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidmoHires.com. Find a job or post your job opening today. 634, 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com. Roads right now are pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. If you want to report a traffic issue, something we need to know about, you can give us a call or a text, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes, and we have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Hi, Hillary. My name is Leah. I'm from Brooklyn. My question for you is...
So you get a chance to talk to the former First Lady, former Secretary of State, failed presidential candidate, former senator. You get a chance to talk to the former First Lady. What's the question that this young lady wants to ask Hillary Clinton?
Were the beds in the White House comfortable?
Can I tell you that even our news director was giggling a little bit? And that's our goal every day. If our news director is in a radio group, Brian Hauswirth, if we can make him giggle, then we think we have done our job. That is Brian Hauswirth. There's Steph Bell. Good morning, Steph.
Good morning.
Hannah, the producer, is here.
Good morning.
My name is Branden Rathert.
So what's your question for Hillary Clinton? That's what I want to know.
So if I had a question for Hillary Clinton, I don't know, because in the question, we'll play the question that she's asking here. She's asking about the White House. I get that to an extent because...
You wouldn't ask her, where are your emails?
Where's your emails and where's Hunter's emails? Those are the things we would like to know, but the comfort of the beds in the White House.
Thanks. Leah, they were very comfortable. And I have to tell you that The mattress in the White House was so comfortable that, when we moved, since the White House would provide a new mattress for our successor, we said, can we take the mattress with us? And they said, sure, we're just going to throw it away otherwise. So literally, we had that mattress for 20 years.
I don't know how many mattresses I've bought in my lifetime, and I don't know. But if we're going to stereotype that relationship, would you want that bed? And for 20 years?
I was going to say, Hillary and Bill, I think they're the kind of people that probably haven't slept in the same bed for a very long time.
But those are the things, sometimes that mindset, that's what they're stressed about. We're worried about gas prices and families having to pay exorbitant prices for groceries and having to make decisions about daycare. And they want, how was the mattress? What was the thread count on the sheets that you used?
But then that she thought it was like, oh, and we took it with us and we kept it. Like, that's a weird answer.
So one of Bill's cousins came up from Arkansas with the 79 Ford F-150 pickup, pulled up to the White House. And they loaded up the mattress. I imagine Bill was probably in a T-shirt and some gym shorts that day, and they loaded up the mattress into the back of that truck and drove that mattress from the White House from Washington, D.C. to their place in New York. I imagine that's how that went out. The other thing that's happening, speaking of emails, listen, this thing with Hunter Biden and the laptop, and here's how it gets portrayed. It's there's just pictures of Hunter, and he's not the president. It has nothing to do with the current guy who's napping in the Oval Office. Joe Biden has nothing to do with him. No, it does. And that's what the media had lied about. We know the New York Times dismissed it. Some of the well-respected journalist outlets across America, they passed on it. And then the New York Post, who first reported on it before anybody else, I can imagine them basking in the sunlight after then the New York Times and Washington Post and other news outlets going, hey. But here's the issue, that he was potentially leveraging his dad's name, and his dad was potentially allowing it to happen for financial gain. You can't do that. That's why that's important. Ann Applebaum, she's a journalist, author. She's got stuff in a bunch of different publications. They're doing some media responsibility thing. University of Chicago, and a student gets up to ask Ann Applebaum, who had written previously about this Hunter Biden laptop story.
I'm Daniel Schmidt. I'm a freshman at the University of Chicago. My question is for Ms. Applebaum. So in 2020, you wrote, those who live outside the Fox News bubble do not, of course, need to learn any of the stuff about Hunter Biden, referring to his laptop, of course.
Which I thought was interesting, because she did write that. So I went and checked, because this is a freshman in college. I went and checked that statement, and she did say, unless you're in the Fox News bubble, that's what she wrote. You don't need to know about this. You don't need to know it. That's not the job of a journalist. It's to say, here's the information. We can't confirm this, or we can confirm this. And I think then also you add, and here's why this matters. But you have a journalist saying, you don't need to know about it. And if you do need to know, all you need to know, well, the GOP and other people, they're just concerned about the pictures of him snorting, blowing, doing hookers on his laptop. That's not what the concern is. Nobody cares about that. It's that he was using the name, and his dad knowingly, the big guy, was allegedly using his name for political profit.
And the amount of money flowing to Hunter Biden is incredible.
So he continues on with his question.
A poll later after that found that if voters knew about the content of the laptop, 16% of Joe Biden voters would have acted differently.
Another key point. We've talked about some of the national news outlets. MSNBC has done it. CBS has done it. There's probably others, but those are the two that I am recently aware of. They're impaneling regretful Biden voters. And they're asking, like, why is it you're regretting this? Well, inflation, what happened in Afghanistan, gas prices, all of that stuff. And you see why. Polling, which has been pretty consistent, yes, if people knew. And here's the other thing. Okay, you know about the laptop, but not the explanation in simple terms and why it matters, especially, I think, to younger conservatives. Here's what's important about the laptop. So when they did talk about it, these national news outlets, it's just pictures of Hunter Biden doing stuff. That's not important, and he's just the president's son. And I think you see the White House they're starting to back off by saying, hey, this isn't even in our hands. So they're not saying he's got nothing to do with it. They're saying we have no say over this anyway.
Yeah, I mean, the allegations are really scary, and you want your politicians to only be motivated by, their heart to do good for the people of America, right? And we know they're regular people. We all have, different motivations, but, we have lots of rules around politics because we don't want people, for example, to be motivated by money. And we don't want, when Joe Biden is dealing with Ukraine, to make any decisions based on Hunter's relationship with Ukraine. And we don't want any of the decisions he's been making or has made in the past to be related to, Hunter saying, hey, if you do this for me, I'll give some money, we'll save some back for the big guy. And, and then funding this elaborate lifestyle. And you have to, people report on this all the time. Suddenly, and it's not just Joe Biden, it's a lot of folks in Congress. You're a politician, you're a working class person, and then suddenly you have this huge house and all this money. And you got to wonder, where did that money come from? And then you have to wonder, when they're voting on things, where, and that's why we have these transparency laws. And I think especially when it deals with foreign countries, and especially with as bad as Joe Biden has been on foreign policy, it should raise a lot of red flags about where his motivations are coming from. And we have a right, I think, to know that. And I think that's why this Hunter Biden laptop is so terrifying, because they keep sweeping it under the rug, and we need to be asking questions. And if there should be any committee impaneled to do an investigation, it should be over this type of stuff. This is really scary.
And you heard in this reporter's story, you don't need to know about the laptop. I want to get to our answer here shortly.
Now, of course, we know a few weeks ago, the New York Times confirmed that the content is real. Do you think the media acted inappropriately when they instantly dismissed Hunter Biden's laptop as Russian disinformation? And what can we learn from that in ensuring that what we label as disinformation is truly disinformation and not reality?
My problem with Hunter Biden's laptop is I think totally irrelevant. It's not whether it's disinformation or, I don't think the Hunter Biden's business relationships have anything to do with who should be president of the United States.
So she's either very stupid. She's a journalist, by the way. Makes, I'm sure, a lot more money than any of us here in this room. It didn't interest me. It wasn't important. It's the president's son. Now, when you're dealing with foreign countries, and there are mentions about your dad, the guy who was a vice president, been in politics for the better part of his life. That's wrong. And so I don't know if they're stupid or if they're intentionally lying, and I don't know which is worse. Is it worse to lie or to be stupid? I'll tell you how bad it is for Joe right now. Hannah, the producer, who right now, after Joe Biden announced for sure yesterday, we're going to put a moratorium on student loans for, I think, like 5 months, something like that. August is when the moratorium will be lifted. But even Hannah had commented yesterday, we're talking about this video. When Barack Obama was at the White House the other day, there's video going around of Biden wandering around, and it's not just so much that he looks confused and lost. It's that he can't get into the power circles. There's one point in this video where he's like, he's tugging on the sleeve of Barack. Hey, Barack, I'm right here. I'm here. So if Hannah watches the video and says, wow, there's something to that.
It's sad.
It's sad. And again, it's not so much because, yeah, he looks lost and aimless because he looks that way all the time. But the real sadness is that, like, people are, and this was, remember, right after the choke, Barack Obama said about him yesterday, with him right there. He was right there. And Obama told that joke yesterday, or the other day, saying, let me introduce the president of the United States. The stuff all can't be, it's just none of it can be good. And it's frightening. Coming up here, by the way, also in D.C., SCOTUS nominee Ketanji Brown Jackson expected to be confirmed. Senator Roy Blunt telling us over the weekend, he says, I will vote no. And I thought Roy Blunt was very tactful in this. He said, I understand what she has achieved, and I do believe it is important. He says she will be confirmed, and I will celebrate that we have the first black female on the Supreme Court of the United States. He says, that's not lost on me. He says, but her policy and what she has done in the past, I simply cannot vote yes. And seriously, I thought that was a tactful, more tactful than just giving the rubber stamp yes, well, I'll vote for her because she's going to be confirmed anyway. But saying I will vote no, but I do understand the gravity.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people are in the same position. Obviously, we've got 3 Republicans, I think, who have said they're going to vote yes, but most Republicans over, her time with the sentencing, so over child pornographers, those kinds of things, just had too many disagreements about her past decisions to be able to support her going forward.
And so when we talk about putting a Supreme Court nominee, it's almost like anymore, it's who do we want to get as president, not because the president is the end game, but the end game is who is sitting on the Supreme Court of the United States.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in 2016 voted for Trump because of the court nominees, for sure.
And it worked.
It did work.
It worked. And it's like, so if we liken it to the city of Columbia, for example, city council, it largely, and not to take anything away from Barbara Buffaloe, who is the second female mayor in Columbia history. We agree on very little politically, but she's a nice enough gal, and she is going to be the mayor of Columbia. The mayor of Columbia really has no more power than Matt Pitzer or Barbara Peters or anybody else sitting next to her on that city council. The importance in voting for a mayor is that it's an open city council person. The mayor is you have 2 council persons. The mayor is one of them. But it's the vote on these things on the city council, much like on the Supreme Court. That's why it matters who the mayor is. So when we talk about somebody who's got real far progressive left values, it's not just because of that. It's because of who else. I mean, you look at Pat Fowler and some of these other, Carl Scala, at least temporarily, that are on. I mean, it's like, in the time I've been here, I mean, it's
marched all the way to the left.
Gosh, like they've hit a wall, can't go much further to the left. Coming up here at 6:53, Texas Governor Gregory Abbott. By the way, he's got an interesting solution to get
Wake Up Columbia with Branden Rathert. It's what happens when you let emotionally unbalanced people play in a room full of microphones. 93.9 The Eagle.
Has the chairman been in the last year to the border of Texas and met with Border Patrol agents, gone down and talked to the people that are sitting there looking at what's actually happening in stash houses?
Did the gentleman yield?
I'll yield briefly.
Yes.
And what did you find? No stash houses? The chairman scoffed. Is the chairman saying there are no stash houses with no little girls getting raped in Texas?
That is Representative Chip Roy talking about Title 42, which basically Title 42 during COVID. Listen, you come into this country illegally, we'll feed you, we'll give you medical care, we'll bathe you. We have people running around all over the streets of Columbia that are homeless, and people want to help them by building shelters. But we throw our tax dollars at people that break the law by coming here illegally, and we give them all the health care and all that stuff. And Chip Roy's point to Jerry Nadler there is, listen, you guys. And here's the thing: this with illegal immigration, it becomes it's a hard issue. Don't you want to? There's this thing like with homelessness here in Columbia and all this crap, and it's not crap. We should be helping those people, but we should do it out of our hearts, out of our churches, out of our neighborhoods. We shouldn't be doing it out of my wallet through taxpayer dollars. Shouldn't be doing it. But here's the big thing with this illegal immigration. We all think, oh, how come you don't want those people coming into our country? And it's all the unicorns and all that stuff. But they don't live in Texas. They don't live in Arizona. They don't live. I sit here in the heart of America. I don't live along the border. You should talk when you get an opportunity. We had a guy we were chatting with for a while. He just lives in Texas, lives in on a bordering county. And he talks about what they have to go through. So we think of this national issue, oh, you don't like brown people? It's not that at all. We have a process, which you can come here legally, and the problems it's causing for people in Texas.
Yeah, they're just overwhelmed. And I think Governor Greg Abbott, I think this is like an Elon Musk level troll, really.
There it is, Anna. She's got that Elon Musk crush going.
Right? So I guess yesterday he decided and announced that he's just going to throw all these people on buses and bus them directly to D.C. and say, you know what? We're overwhelmed. We've asked for help from, Joe Biden. We've asked for help from the federal government. Kamala is supposed to be the border czar. We've gotten nothing. And so, you know what? You deal with these people. And so apparently they were already using buses to transport some folks. And he was like, let's just keep those buses going. Let's just all the way to D.C. And so I guess at one point they had access to like 900 buses. And
it's a convoy to D.C., but it's not a trucker convoy. It's a convoy of, hey, you're not going to help us. You're actually helping illegal immigrants. You're helping Joe to cause all of these problems when I got to go up and fix my fences every morning, when I'm worried about the safety of my kids because we have illegal immigrants running around the place. We don't, and these drugs and these stash houses and the fentanyl that's crossing over the border. You ain't hearing our concerns, so we'll ship them to you, Joe, which is way better than a nasty tweet, by the way.
I love it. And I think, and the governor has a good point. He's saying this is costing our state so much money, and this is not our problem. This is the federal government's problem. So, hey, you know what? We're sick of it. Like, you deal with this. This is your problem. You take care of it.
And if you were to look at the resources at those border states, that the states, taxpayer dollars that go, even the federal government's not, the money that costs we don't care. Coming up, we are going to be meeting the mayor-elect of Columbia, second female mayor in the history of Columbia. Barbara Buffaloe is going to be joining us, how she's going to work with the folks who did not vote for her, and maybe even how she can work with some of the opponents in that mayoral race. She is here at 7:10 on 93.9 The Eagle.
Weapons, weapons, and weapons. I'm Chris Foster, Fox News. That's a request from Ukraine's foreign minister at NATO headquarters in Brussels, Belgium, for more meetings about the Russian invasion. Ukraine's President, Volodymyr Zelensky.
Tens of thousands of our citizens have already been taken away to the territory of Russia and to the temporarily occupied territory of Ukraine.
He spoke to Greece's parliament today. It's Supreme Court confirmation day at the Capitol. Here's Fox's Eben Brown live.
Chris, the full U.S. Senate will vote today on whether or not to confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the U.S. Supreme Court. It is believed she will be confirmed, as only 51 votes out of the Senate's 100 members are needed, and 3 Republicans have said they will be yes votes. Brown Jackson would be succeeding the retiring Justice Stephen Breyer, though he's not leaving until this summer, so her time on the nation's highest court won't begin immediately. Her appointment is not expected to swing the high court's ideological persuasions, Chris.
Eben, thanks. A radio host sits down for questions for a lawsuit against him and pays tens of thousands of dollars in fines after initially refusing to show up.
Court records say InfoWars host Alex Jones paid $25,000 in fines for not showing up to be deposed Friday and another $50,000 for not appearing Monday. He showed up Tuesday and Wednesday as he faces a defamation lawsuit from families of Sandy Hook victims. At one point, he said the shooting never happened. In a video on his website, Jones said the family's lawyers have been demonizing him for his questioning of the events. The plaintiffs have said they got death threats and were harassed by followers of Jones because of the hoax he promoted. Jones has since conceded the shooting did happen. Jill Nato, Fox News.
It's Major League Baseball's opening day, delayed a week by a now settled labor dispute. There's 7 games on the schedule today, with 2 postponed until tomorrow because of bad weather. The Brewers and Cubs get things started today at Wrigley Field in Chicago. America's listening to Fox News.
After 9/11, Saul Martinez couldn't wait to enlist. In Iraq, his vehicle was hit by a projectile improvised explosive device. Saul survived, but he lost both legs, suffered a traumatic brain injury, and lost 2 close friends. Saul now lives in a smart home from the Tunnel to Towers Foundation, which gave him back his independence despite his severe physical challenges. Help heroes like Saul. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
.939 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 7:03. We have clear skies, 42 our current temperature right now in Columbia. It's 41 degrees in Jefferson City. We're expecting a chilly day today. Our high will only be around 48 degrees. Good morning, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you in this 7 o'clock hour, and we'll get to the opening day for the Cardinals in our sports segment. A judge today will be deciding the fate of a Columbia man who's charged with trying to kill his ex-wife and with trying to kill Boone County Judge Jeff Harris. ABC 17's Erica McGuire has been covering the bench trial of Murdad Fatuhiam.
Fatuhiam has been in and out of jail since 2015 after posting a $5 million bond 2 different times. It was Judge Harris that put him back in jail the first time when Fatuhiam violated his bond by sending someone to get his medicine from his wife. While in jail, he allegedly tried to hire inmates to carry out the plot to kill his wife and Judge Harris. Fatuhiam allegedly wanted to kill his wife due to her wanting a divorce, and he didn't want to lose out on money.
Again, that's ABC 17's Erica McGuire. Just to clarify, his name has been pronounced 2 different ways in court over the years. We generally go with Futiam as well. Futiam is the last name there, but he will be back in court. This is a bench trial, not a jury trial, which means the judge in this case is the one who will do the verdict. And it's Stephen Omer who is coming in from St. Louis to handle this. And again, we expect a verdict sometime today. Meantime, more than 19,000 Columbia residents residents cast ballots in Tuesday's mayoral election. The Boone County Clerk, Brianna Lennon, says it is the most votes ever cast in a Columbia municipal election. She notes strong voter turnout citywide, including the hotly contested 3rd Ward City Council race. That one ended in a tie with 1,102 votes apiece in that race. The military votes are due by Friday. You can hear the full interview with Brianna Lennon and Wake Up Columbia on our website. That website is 939theeagle.com. A daycare in mid-Missouri's Osage County has now had its license suspended and involves gummies.
The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has suspended the child care license of a Lynn daycare because staff allegedly gave unknown medications to children to calm them down at nap time. DESE investigated a complaint that staff at the Busy Bee Learning Academy in Lynn and the owner, Tanya Newbound, were giving children gummies and powdered milk at nap time. Investigators say Newbound told them the gummies were herbal supplements to help the kids sleep. The Osage County Sheriff's Office is also investigating. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
John, thanks. 2 national experts on protecting America's power grid will travel to Jefferson City Monday to testify before a House committee investigating how to protect the grid from threats. St. Louis County State Representative David Gregory, who chairs the House Special Committee on Government Accountability, says the Russian invasion of Ukraine has raised some new fears. He alleges, Representative Gregory does, that the Biden administration has failed to do what is needed. Lawmakers in both parties will have the opportunity to ask questions on Monday. Missouri's Capitol Dome in Jefferson City is still lit teal this morning. Will remain do so for about another hour to recognize Sexual Assault Awareness Month. The governor issuing the order in solidarity with victims of sexual assault. We have a picture of the Capitol Dome on our website. It's 939theeagle.com. Our news is brought to you this morning live by the folks at the Candy Factory in downtown Columbia. They can fill your Easter baskets with the tasty treats and delicious handmade chocolates and candies. It's the Candy Factory. Find them online, thecandyfactoryonline.com. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 7:07. Turning our attention now to sports. Of course, if you can't make the trip to St. Louis today for the Cardinal opening day, you can certainly hear the game right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Tom Ackerman will be handling the coverage on KMOX until the network coverage starts. You'll hear at 1:40 here on 93.9 The Eagle. Kevin Wheeler will be the pregame host from 1:40 to about 3:15. They'll have all the ceremonies there. The Clydesdales are going to be introduced, if you will, and all the Hall of Famers. Lots of other dignitaries will be there. 3:15, the first pitch today. Adam Wainwright on the mound for St. Louis. And one other sports note here, if you will. This is a conservation story, but it is interesting. 2 senators, Roy Blunt and Martin Heinrich. You folks in Centralia, you may recognize this name. Martin Heinrich, the senator from New Mexico, grew up in Centralia. A lot of family still lives up there in the anchor city. They've called a press conference for today in Washington to talk about a brand new fish and wildlife bill that they say is supported by more than 60 tribes and 1,500 organizations representing state fish and wildlife agencies. That bipartisan bill will be unveiled coming up today at noon. Sports brought to you by Witt Print Shop, where your printed products are so much more than ink and paper. Our news time, 7:08. Kevin, thanks so much. Good job as always. Right now we have clear skies in our weather brought to you by Club Car Wash, clubcarwash.com. It's 42 degrees. 7:09, 93.9 The Eagle, 939theeagle.com, and our traffic report brought to you by Mid-Mo Roads are pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. Certainly, if you are heading to St. Louis, be prepared for some traffic delays downtown inevitably today with opening day. Regardless of where you're going, make sure you bundle up. It's going to be a chilly day today. We'll have another update for you coming up at the bottom of the hour and breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
The other candidates in this race, we have run a clean campaign. All five. It's been an honor to serve with them, to go through this very interesting process, especially as a non-political candidate in any other regard. So it was really great to go through with them, and I hope to lead, regardless of whoever anybody voted for, I will still listen to everybody.
And do what we say, Barbara? Barbara Buffaloe, Mayor-elect, City of Columbia. By the way, I stole that audio from the Columbia Daily Tribune. They were at Barbara's party the other night. Barbara Buffaloe joining us on the show now. And I rather appreciated those remarks. I've enjoyed our relationship and getting to know you. I think we agree on very little politically, but we know that, and it doesn't mean we don't get along. But I want to start with this. I know that you've said all along, and you said it as your thing, and you've been very complimentary to the other folks in the mayoral race. How do you do that, folks? Somebody that didn't vote for you, how do you intend to work with everybody?
Well, I think you start first with listening. Like, what are the issues, and what are the issues that are coming up, and what are the data? Like, what's the facts for it? When we talked, when you and I talked back in, October or November you asked me, what about trash? And I was like, this is one of those ones. People ask me every door you knocked on, of the 4,000 doors we knocked on, what was like some of the number one issues? And it was like trash. And you can understand that not everybody agreed on the solution, but everyone agreed that we had to do something. And it was more about they wanted to trust that local government would just do the right thing. So I think it's listening there and then making the decisions based on the facts that you hear.
All right, Barbara Buffaloe, Mayor-elect, City of Columbia. And I want to ask you this, too. And I think we've had a good relationship, and I'm hopeful for the benefit of our audience and the residents that live in the City of Columbia limits that will continue for the sake of government transparency and keeping the electorate informed. I hope they will, and we will. We'll have a good relationship. We may not agree on stuff, but we're honest about that, and I think that's important. So my next question is, so what can you say to, and I know the local offices, they're nonpartisan, but they are. What would you say to a conservative listening to 93.9 The Eagle this morning? It's like, man, we've got a super progressive city council right now, especially with the election of Barbara Buffaloe as mayor. What are you saying to people like me that are freaking out?
Are you freaking out, Branden?
You should wait. No, here's. Are
you doing okay?
I'm triggered.
You want to go for a walk?
Barbara, I'm triggered. But let me tell you this before you answer the question. Stephanie and Hannah have a great take on this, actually, with you becoming mayor.
Just that it'll be good for the radio show because, it's no fun to cheerlead. It's more fun to kind of debate the issues. And I think, and I know Branden and you don't see eye to eye on all of the issues. So I feel like there's going to be lots of room for a good discussion, a healthy discussion.
Okay, so Barbara, I'm triggered. We've got I'll tell you, I'm triggered. We're going to have the most progressive city council in the history of Columbia. Sit down, have a cup of coffee with me. Assuage my feelings right now.
Well, I think first off, there's a lot of assumptions being made there, right? So, sure. And you and I have talked about this before, like, the assumptions. When I started working for the city as the first sustainability manager, it was the same response. It was kind of like, oh my gosh, what have we done? All of a sudden the chaos, she's going to come and take away our cars and she's going to just plant trees in our yards. And we didn't have that. We led from a point of like common sense. So it's like, hey, y'all, we can do some things better, more efficiently. And that's really what my platform was on. But I think because I had the title of sustainability manager, there's those assumptions that like, okay, she's going to come in, she's going to take away our cars, she's going to plant a bunch of trees in our yard. And we're not. We're going to look at how can government run more efficiently so that like the professionals on city staff, when they're proposing, hey, here's a solution to a problem, council's honestly listening. And then we're also taking that feedback to our constituents and saying, this is what we're hearing and this is why I'm voting this way. So, Branden, I'll keep coming on this show because, I don't just represent those 8,500 who voted. I really represent our community.
Mayor-elect Buffaloe, we appreciate you taking the time to join us live this morning on the program. I do want to ask you about the issue of a 24/7 homeless shelter. That's something I know you campaigned on. You've talked about it. You've mentioned Welcome In is a model. What do you envision for a homeless shelter, and do you have a time frame on what you'd like to see as far as implementation of that?
Okay, so first off, I think you mean welcome home. Hopefully.
Welcome home, yes, welcome home.
I was like,
not
I
welcome
hope welcome in is not the model.
No, exactly. Well, exactly. Not the
hotel in the seedy part of town.
Yeah,
it's a bastion of how to help homeless people.
Exactly.
So it was more of that. I like the proposal that's coming together from our social service environment in Columbia, where you have nonprofits like Love Columbia, you have Voluntary Action Center working with the Columbia Housing Authority on proposing this idea of like a transitional, homeless shelter that's providing those services that help people get that hand up so that they can, get the mental health needs from Burl or Compass or whoever it is, and they can get some of their physical needs seen to, so that they then do have a chance at like restarting, getting back on their feet. So I think I like that idea of kind of, you can help resource that seed funding and then letting those experts in the field run and operate what it is that they do best.
But wait, when you say seed funding, you mean Branden Rathert's tax dollars.
Exactly. Well, specifically yours, Branden. Specifically yours.
Let's move
I don't know
forward.
if you know this, but I have this new power. No.
I know. Points. I'm giving you points tomorrow when we nominate winners and losers of the week at 8:35, Barbara.
And if I could follow up on one issue, I know that's obviously going to be on the agenda. Obviously not just on the agenda, but it's going to be on the ballot in August, and that is the issue of roll carts. What do you envision with that, and do you have a position on the issue on the ballot measure?
Yeah, I have to say I was a little bit – it's a frustrating thing, right, because I worked for the city when we first were looking at the data, and we were saying, like, hold on a second, 79% turnover, $350,000 annually on workman's comp. Like, what are some other solutions we can do for trash collection that keeps people in their job and makes it safe? And so on Monday night when I appreciated the 3 council members who voted to just remove that part of the ordinance, because it didn't mean for sure we're going, but at least gave the solid waste staff any of the tools in their toolbox to decide how are they going to fix the solution without making a change yet, without it coming back. So for me personally, like, I have a roll cart. I put my trash bags into it and take it to the end. I understand, and then I take it out of the bag, put it on the curb. So I understand, though, that it's not possible in every single house. Some of our older neighborhoods have tighter driveways or no driveways at all. So for me, I always wanted that hybrid solution where we looked at what worked best, what's the size. But at the end of the day, I just want to provide a safe, clean working environment for our staff and also for our residents.
Columbia-elect Mayor Barbara Buffaloe joining us this morning here on the show.
And I'm going to get a little bit lawyerly here, but I think that's what people don't... I think people are confused about the roll cart issue because people are like, roll carts are on the ballot in August. But you brought up a good point.
But they're not.
Yeah, so what people will be voting for is to eliminate the ban of city council talking on it. So if I vote yes to eliminate the ban, then what will have to happen is if we wanted roll carts, then the council would have to bring up, yes, we want roll carts, and then you as a group would have to vote in favor of roll carts. Is that right?
Well, in the crazy thing here, I would like to also, let's go back up into the clouds, and as a reminder, be like, council should not be saying exactly, you know what I mean? Like, this is exactly how to do your job, staff. That should be like staff saying, like, hey, y'all, we need to change the system so it works more efficiently and effectively. And then we say, all right, yeah, here's your budget amendment. So the idea that 7 people up on the council dais are the ones making the decisions for how the staff does their job is a little bit frustrating. So, yeah, you're right. So what's going to be on the ballot, if it is on the ballot for August, is going to be removing of the requirement that the city of Columbia cannot purchase or implement an automated trash collection system. So, yeah, it doesn't even say we are going to do one. It just says removal of the ability that we cannot do one.
Well, that made it
How's that for double negative?
That's very simple.
Yeah, I mean, that ballot language is going to be important. I think... go ahead.
Yeah. Oh, I was going to say it was the same thing in 2016 when it was on the ballot. A vote yes was a vote no for roll carts. So it was just as confusing then. And I am very worried about this for August. And that's one of the first questions I have for the city manager, DeCarlin Seawood, is like, okay, what is going on for this ballot? And what options do we have for communication and community education?
Now, you've also brought up the city staff several times, and I know, having been a former member of the city staff, there's been a lot over the last year that we've read about, inner workings and I guess maybe drama amongst the city staff. So what is your plan moving forward to, boost morale? And every organization, government and non-governmental, is struggling with recruitment and, those kinds of things. So how are you going to deal with those issues?
Yeah. So we know right now that the city's DeCarlin Seawood and I believe the Human Resources Department and Finance Department, they're doing a classification and compensation study that is looking at the wages and the benefits of our city staff and comparing them to, other sister cities or other similar organizations to make sure that they're being paid, on par with how it's supposed to be. And I know as a part of that, too, is looking at how does employee engagement, what are our results there? And then what the mayor and the city council can do is that we can actually then hold accountable the city manager. Like, okay, what's your plan for improving morale? And you can hold them accountable and be like, how are these numbers going up? How are people staying? One of the ways that I see that I hope to lead on is by working together. We can come together and talk about these priorities that our police chief has. We can talk about priorities that the Public Works Department director or interim director right now have, and how can council support it? And then also, hey, when I was knocking on all those doors, here's what I heard as priority issues. So tell me what your solutions are there.
All right, Barbara, I don't mean to.
Brandon,
no, I know. Well,
you know it.
I'm running behind, and one of the things I'm continually working on improving is staying on time and keeping my word. But I do want to get it one quick, because we'll have you obviously back on here in the future, because we are getting some questions via text from listeners. But one question, if you could answer this in like 15 seconds, ask her what her take on citizen oversight is when it comes to the police department. I'll just ask you, do you like it? Do you against it?
Well, I think it was one of the things that back in the day, like NAACP was talking about, right? So this idea of just like having that sort of citizen engagement with it. For me, the oversight, I have a lot of questions on what the Missouri State Legislature, changed for some of our rules, but then also working collaboratively together. And I think it really, at the end of the day, it's just about having more authentic and true relationships, and community policing is just good policing. So I look forward to hearing what Chief Jones has to say about that.
All right, Barbara Buffaloe, not only do you talk a lot, but you don't understand the concept of 15 seconds. I'm kidding, right? I'm kidding. You should see all the interns and everybody.
Barbara, I think you should come in studio next time. I think we need an in-person video or visit.
We will. And I'm saying this because I thought you would get a kick out of it yesterday. I won't say I've been critical, but I have been factual in talking about in the past. I get frustrated when Eric Greitens, when he campaigned for governor, man, he was wanting to be on this show all the time. Became governor, not once would come on here. And I got to say the same about Josh Hawley. As much as I like him, he campaigned on this show numerous occasions to become our attorney general in the state. Wouldn't come on as attorney general, save for one appearance. Campaigned on our show constantly to become a member of the U.S. Senate, and has not been. We can't get him on the show. We've sent countless emails, and I get frustrated when I see him on Fox all the time. And I don't say those as criticisms. I just say those as, hey, just so you know, and you have somebody on Fox all the time running for president instead of being here on local radio stations talking to their actual constituents. I say that not as criticism. Exactly. I say that not as a criticism, but just as facts, and those are simple facts. So I said yesterday we were trying to get a hold of you, and I know you were busy and tired, but I said even on air, I hope, because we couldn't get a hold of you to get you on the show, and I said, man, I hope she doesn't pull a Hawley or a Greitens on us and used us to campaign, and now she's the mayor and won't come on.
Didn't she text you yesterday and say, I'm sorry, I missed your text?
She did.
I had 214 unread text messages when I woke up on Monday or Wednesday. See, I don't even know what day it is.
Barbara Buffaloe, mayor-elect. We'll chat again. And thank you. We do appreciate your sense of self-awareness and your sense of humor, but your sense of duty to the folks of Columbia.
Thank you.
All right. Coming up, What's Hot with Hannah?
Another snack has gone woke.
This show includes language and or cultural stereotypes that are inconsistent with today's standards of inclusion and tolerance and may offend some listeners. But not you. You get it. 93.9 The Eagle.
7:25-ish, which means it's
7:29.
time for What's Hot with Hannah.
It's 2 days in a row, by the way.
I know. I'm getting worse instead of better.
Go figure. So, America's favorite snack, well, maybe not their favorite snack, but Cracker Jack has launched Cracker Jill that has a female mascot, and it's supposed to honor women in sports. So if you go to a St. Louis Cardinals baseball game this summer, you might get handed a bag of Cracker Jill instead of Cracker Jack.
Matter of fact, Cardinals and Royals both opening up the season at home here. The Cardinals all summer long on 93.9 The Eagle. They're trying to do it to support women in sports, because they're trying to get TV ratings. And I think they're missing out on a marketing opportunity. You know how I think you get more people watching like the WNBA and the other stuff that women play? you let men join the leagues, and then you'll get more people watching. Coming up, by the way, have you heard there's some new menu items this year at Busch Stadium and at Kauffman Stadium? We have a question about Albert Pujols being the designated hitter. We're going to cover some of those things coming up here at 7:35. And if you have a car and a cell phone, you want to hear our next story. ABC 17 Storm Track forecast, maybe some showers today. High 50, warming up a little bit this weekend. Right now it's 48. Stop by Club Car Wash. Get an unlimited membership, $20 a month. ClubCarWash.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. A historic vote takes place today.
The full U.S. Senate will vote today on whether or not to confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the U.S. Supreme Court. It is believed she will be confirmed, as only 51 votes out of the Senate's 100 members are needed, and 3 Republicans have said they will be yes votes.
Fox's Evan Brown. Jackson be the first black woman on the high court. Ukraine warning some of its residents to flee the eastern part of the country while they can.
This as the Pentagon assesses that all Russian troops have left the capital area and are redeploying to the eastern Donbass region. Meanwhile, we're getting a grim picture of the situation in Mariupol. The mayor writing on his Facebook page, "This is no longer Chechnya or Aleppo. This is the new Auschwitz."
Fox's Griff Jenkins. And first-time jobless claims for last week, 166,000. America's listening to Fox News.
And now award-winning local news coverage with Brian Hauswirth on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson's saves you time. It is 7:31. Right now we do have partly sunny skies. We continue to see chilly temperatures. 42 is our current temperature right now in Columbia, 41 in Jefferson City. Good morning, everyone, and here's some of the stories we are working on for you at this hour. A judge hearing a bench trial on a Columbia businessman's conspiracy to commit murder case is expected to announce his verdict today. It's Judge Stephen Omer. He's been hearing the case of 67-year-old Murdad Fatuium, who's charged with conspiracy to commit murder and several other felonies. He allegedly plotted to kill his ex-wife and Boone County Judge Jeff Harris. Other inmates alerted authorities to the alleged plots of the ex-wife, and Judge Harris were not injured. Meantime, Boone County's clerk says it will take about a week to certify Tuesday's election for Columbia's 3rd Ward Council seat. Mr. Scala, the incumbent, challenger Roy Lovelady, finishing in a tie, 1,102 votes each. We have the full interview with Brianna Lennon, the clerk, on our website, 939theeagle.com. Missouri's Capitol Dome lit teal overnight.
Governor Mike Parson issued the order in solidarity with victims of sexual assault. The governor says that by being responsive to victims in the criminal justice system, we not only show them support, but also prevent criminals from assaulting again and harming additional victims. Governor Parson signed 2020 legislation establishing the Sexual Assault Survivors Bill of Rights. I'm Logan Weber, 93.9 The Eagle.
Logan, thank you. A key Missouri lawmaker says the Biden administration and the federal government have failed to do what is needed to protect the nation's electric grid. Those comments from St. Louis County Republican lawmaker David Gregory. 93.9 The Eagle News is brought to you this hour by Willett Dental Associates, WillettDentalAssociates.com. Our news time, 7:33. Turning our attention now to sports. A lot of folks from mid-Missouri will be making the trip over to St. Louis today. Opening day. It's always a big day in St. Louis. You definitely will need a jacket today. Want to bring your radio with you. Nothing better than sitting at the ballpark and listening to the radio and catching the action. Herzog, Smith, Simmons, Bruce Sutter, among the others, to be honored before the game. All the Hall of Famers at the pregame ceremony. If you can't make it to the game, you can certainly catch it right here on 93.9 The Eagle. Pregame coverage beginning at the network at 1:40. Kevin Wheeler anchoring the pregame coverage today from KMOX. On the call today, John Rooney, as well as Rick Horton and Mike Claiborne. And a new restaurant is open near I-70 in Kingdom City. It's owned by Drew Locke's aunt, Becky Wright. Many of you know Becky and her husband, Casey. They live over in Calwood. And Inside Columbia Magazine from Zimmer is reporting they've opened it up. It's called the Banded Rooster Bar and Grill. The restaurant is designed like an old-style saloon. They offer actually, they do have outdoor dining. They also offer outlaw sandwiches and gunslinger burgers. Again, kind of a Western theme. And Drew Locke from Mizzou football was there just last week, according to the magazine. Our news time, 7:34. Traffic check with MidMoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidMoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening today. Roads are pretty quiet here in mid-Missouri. We do have sunshine, no precipitation right now. If you do want to report a traffic issue, you can reach us by phone or text at 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. Breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Hey, it's Harrison Bader from the St. Louis Cardinals. He's 6'1", weighs 210, bats right, has an IQ of 160. Come on, really, man. He's 5'6" and weighs 205. He doesn't even know what IQ means. Here's Branden Rathert on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
Girlies say I'm pretty fly for a white guy. Here's what I like about that. At the time when I said I weigh 205, Harrison. By the way, this was at a Cardinal Caravan event that typically we do every year here on 93.9 The Eagle. However, I haven't done it for a couple of years because the government won't let us, in effect. So when we did that, when I was chatting with him a couple of years ago, 205, that's what I weighed at the time. Then over the ensuing years that we highlight that,
that became your driver's license weight?
My driver's license weight.
I have one of those.
And as Harrison Bader's value to the Cardinals has gone up over the years, so has my weight. So I do not. But so 205, and then it was 250, and then I got up to like 225 pounds and almost 230. And then I quit drinking and lost like 20 pounds in 30 days, and then got stuck at like about this 210 weight. And now I'm below that 205.
Good for you. It's awesome.
Anyhow, Cardinals today. By the way, this is Wake Up Columbia. That is Stephanie Bell.
Good morning.
Super stoked because we're talking about some new offerings at Busch Stadium and at Kauffman Stadium this year. Cardinal baseball, Royal baseball, opening day. Growing up as a kid in St. Louis, like you take off school, it's the official, if you're in St. Louis, the official start of spring. But you got to hear some of these new weird menu items. There's Mr. Brian Hauswirth.
It's great to see you, sir.
Hannah, the producer, is here.
Good morning.
And to support the St. Louis Cardinals, she is wearing red today.
Right.
We appreciate that. And
did that on purpose.
We wear red tomorrow, too. And there's a reason. So tomorrow on the show, Feel Good Friday. Nominate winners and losers of the week. That's always fun, trying to highlight some of the things that are some of the more positive things in the news. The other thing we do every Friday is we wear red.
Yeah, we wear red to remember everyone deployed.
And we always, and we let you know that, not to say, hey, look at what we are doing, but we mention that. So like maybe if you want to wear red and to work on Friday, because it's really cool. You start to notice, like if you're at the grocery store on a Friday and you see somebody they're wearing red. Mm-hmm. I wonder if that was an accident, or are they doing it to support troops? By the way, the bottom line on this Ward 3 race before we get into the weird menu items at Busch and Kauffman Stadium this year. Could be Monday before we know the winner between Scala and Lovelady.
I don't think it'll be Monday, Brandon. I think just based on what Brianna Lennon, the clerk, told us, I think it'll be at least Tuesday and probably after that because they won't get they have to get the military votes back by Friday. They're still doing certification, and she thought a week. So I'm thinking Tuesday, Wednesday at the earliest. And then they'll proceed. Basically, she said they're in a holding pattern. You ask a very good question. Can they just start the recount now? And I didn't realize. She said they don't have the authority to do that, so they really have to wait. So it might even be late next week. But that's where we're at right now. Bottom line, no end in sight, at least at this point. Next week at the earliest, probably Wednesday, Thursday.
I propose instead of drawing names out of a hat, if it does come to that, do like an arm wrestling or a dance-off or something like that, and then televise it on the local access channel, or at the very least, ABC 17. So at Busch Stadium, I love What's Hot with Hannah. We do it every morning, 7:25-ish. And here's why I'm especially liking it, because What's Hot with Hannah, it's kind of like, the cool things that people, unlike myself, are talking about, because I ain't cool, man. I'm an old fuddy-duddy.
You're cool.
Said the other fuddy-duddy in the studio.
Boy.
Thanks, Hauswirth. Fist bump, buddy. I love you, brother.
Absolutely.
The one today, but I knew the story today. So you could be at Busch or Kauffman, and you could get, instead of Cracker Jacks, you could get Cracker Jill.
Which is the same thing. You're just getting a different
You're putting
package.
you're putting different words on it.
Is it pink? Because I want it to be pink. Does it come in a pink package?
Oh,
It does not.
But that's a brilliant move, I think. Actually,
Come on.
Why not? If we're gonna,
Why would that be a brilliant move?
because pink is the woman's color.
Why does everything have to be blue?
Because it's the
Have
way
you
it's
ever heard-
always been.
Have you ever heard of the pink tax?
Yes.
That a lot of women get upset about.
Yes.
Basically, a lot of products will be made in the color pink, and then they jack the price up on it.
Oh, I had especially during October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month, for everybody starts putting pink on it, and people associate, hey, this is going to
Or razors, for example.
Yeah.
You know, a men's razor and a women's razor can be basically identical, but if the women's razor is, marketed more toward women or might be pink or, purple or whatever, it's more expensive for whatever reason. So they call that the pink tax.
Jack Beard via text. Sorry, quick right hand turn. The Third Ward runoff. It should be a pickleball game. I'm nominating Jack, one of the winners of the week tomorrow. Feel Good Friday. So it's Cracker Jill. And listen, am I going to quit buying Cracker Jacks? No. I probably haven't had Cracker Jacks.
Gross, yeah.
I was 5 years old. I want to call it Cracker Jill, whatever. But great text. This is what people want to talk about this morning. They're awaiting the release of our 93.9 The Eagle poll results coming up at 8:10, as long as Stephanie reminds me that I said that's when we're going to do it. 8:10, poll results. GOP U.S. Senate primary. Who would you vote for? We have the results this morning. It's coming up at 8:10. But meanwhile, here's some of the things folks are talking about. Stuart wants to know, Hannah, and I can't answer this question because I haven't seen it. I'm just familiar with the story. Is there a picture of Leah Thomas instead of the old sailor boy on the box of Cracker Jills?
There is not.
Just checking. Think Leah Thomas, when he's walking around the swimming pool, do you think he's having to tell the women, hey, ladies, my eyes are up here?
I don't know.
Just asking.
You know what I will be eating when I go to the ballpark, though?
What's that?
Not Cracker. What is it? Jane's Cracker Jills?
Cracker
Whatever.
Jill.
I'm not eating that. And again, when's the last time you had Cracker Jacks? Never. But pulled pork nachos. That might be my favorite food of all time.
And I guess they're doing it at Busch Stadium now.
Yeah. And I mean, people think about Kansas City and barbecue, but St. Louis has really good barbecue too. So pulled pork nachos, I think, are delicious. What I will not be eating is what is being served at Kauffman.
What are they doing at Kauffman Stadium this year?
A barbecue and Reese's sandwich.
See, that doesn't sound appealing.
A new barbecue Reese's sandwich. So it has pulled pork, barbecue sauce, bacon, and Reese's peanut butter cups.
I love Reese's peanut butter cups. I like pulled pork, but not together. There's a lot.
And you're not going to like the fact that it's probably $22.
There's one. They're selling a burger in Atlanta at the stadium there, $150
Really?
because going to a ball game's not expensive enough for us families. In Atlanta, you can buy a hamburger for $150.
No, thank you.
And it's got lobster meat on it and foie. I don't even know what foie gras is. I don't even know I think it's pronounced foie gras. Does anybody know what foie gras is? FOIEGRAS. Is that an agriculture thing, Hannah? Will your agriculture degree come into play here?
No, I think that's
And I think
French.
it's foie gras. I think that's right. I've never eaten it.
874-9390, if you know. So it's got the foie gras on it. It's got all this stuff on it. $150 at a stadium. Also, in relation to what's hot with Hannah, another interesting food you might be able to find this year at Busch Stadium or at Kauffman or other ballparks across America. Woke snack food. So Cracker Jills. I love this from Tom. So did we change the name of the Payday Candy Bar to Universal Income Day? Oh, God. You guys are killing it this morning. We should come up with a whole list of woke names for candy bars. I don't know what that would be, but if you have some suggestions, I'd love to hear them.
Well, Baby Ruth. I mean, you can't have a girl's name anymore on a candy bar, apparently, right? Or we'd have to have a boy's name, too.
Babe, Bill Ruth, Buster Ruth. 874-9390, 9390. Lana helping us out. I love this because one of the other reasons, and if you're a new listener, welcome into the show. So I think I've introduced everybody. Stephanie is here. You can see us by going onto our YouTube channel on 93.9 The Eagle, and you can watch. There's Hannah, the producer, and you hear Brian Hauswirth in here a lot. And we cover local news and national and state news. We try to explain how this will immediately affect you, and we have fun while doing it. Okay, and so if you're newer, we just want to get, that's kind of the rundown, and welcome into it. And we learn something new all the time. I'm not sure, is it foie gras? Lana, help us out.
Yeah, it's foie gras.
Foie gras.
Foie gras.
Foie
and
gras.
it is, I believe it's goose liver pate, but it's goose liver cooked like a pate or a paste. But it sounds really gross, but they say it's really rich and really good.
All right. So you've never tried it?
No. I watch too many cooking shows.
Lana, thank you. We appreciate you being a part of Wake Up Columbia. Foie gras and lobster meat on your burger. Coming up here just a few minutes on 93.9 The Eagle, getting ready for the release. Oh, by the way, if you have a car or a smartphone, stuff happening in Jefferson City right now, pretty interesting, and it could affect, and I don't know actually how this would work out, plus what one school in Missouri is doing when it comes to smartphones. We'll have those stories coming up here at 7:51 on 93.9 The Eagle and 93.9theeagle.com, where you can listen live. Opening day, Cardinals, Royals, here comes the king. By the way, Adam Wainwright,
The power of local talk. Wake Up Columbia with Branden. 93.9 The Eagle.
A way to get your mind off of things for a little bit, realize what's important before we start tomorrow. Enjoy it, and you enjoy it. You just want to take this home? There you go.
Just because John Rahm, apparently one of the best golfers in the world. I don't follow golf a whole lot, but doing an interview, the Masters, and it's Take Your Kid to Work Day, and so he's hanging out. He's doing an interview, and the kid taking over the interview there. I love that. Welcome into the show. This is Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Bell, Hannah, the producer, Brian Hauswirth. My name is Branden Rathert. We're getting ready to release this poll that you may have taken part in on our website. 2022 U.S. Senate race GOP primary. Who do you like? You like it? Greitens, Schmidt, Hartzler, McCloskey, Schatz. Who you like it in that race? We have the results coming up at 8:10. I think just an interesting look specifically to see everybody hanging out on the show, what they're thinking. We'll have that at 8:10. But here's what people want to talk about. They want to talk about what's hot with Hannah. It's at 7:25. Interesting story this morning. And it made me feel good because I kind of knew about it. I'm like, man, I might be getting a little hip.
Probably not. Just because Brian Hauswirth called you cool doesn't mean you are.
And you just use the word hip.
Hip. Another old white guy saying I'm cool you're right, it's not doing it for me.
And what if I always told you, if you have to tell people you're cool, you're probably not.
Probably ain't. But interesting story this morning and what's hot with Hannah.
Yeah, so the snack Cracker Jack, which is like a pop, I've never even had it. Is it caramel popcorn?
Yeah, it's caramel popcorn.
Yeah, so they have rebranded slightly, and they're going to release Cracker Jill. They have a new female mascot that is going to be printed on the bags that you get like at the ballpark or the gas station or whatever. And they've even released like a new song to go with it.
Really?
Yeah.
Do we have it?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
I had it ready for What's Hot with Hannah, and then you gave me like 10 seconds to tell my story, and I didn't have time to play it.
Sorry. So people, and I wish, if you have any ideas, if we took all candy bars and went woke with them, what would be some of the interesting names? We have one for Payday, which is, what do we call it? Instead of the Payday candy bar, do we call it the Universal Income Day candy bar?
We're going to have to rename for my sister-in-law, Amy, the 100 grand due to inflation. 100 grand would not be the same. It was first made in 1964. So today's dollars would be like 915 grand.
All right, that just ruined it for me. If you want to go and get Cracker Jill and be politically correct or woke or whatever, that's fine. But you don't change that song. The song, the words are supposed to be, buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. And you know why it's that way? Because that's the way we've always done it. I will not stand for this. I'm kidding, obviously.
I don't know if Frito-Lay cares.
Hey, can I tell this battery and potato chip joke? What did the battery say to the potato chip?
What?
I'm ever ready if you're Frito-Lay. Frito-Lay potato chips.
Yeah,
ever ready
I got
batteries.
it. I
I'm
got
ever
it,
ready
yeah.
if you're Frito-Lay.
Don't say it again.
Why? It's potato chips and batteries. Got this one too. If you're gonna go full, this is from Chris. Just go full woke. You need to get rid of instead of calling it Cracker Jack or Cracker Jill. Really, if we're gonna go full woke, you need to take out the word cracker. Man, our peeps are on fire this morning. Welcome in. So, if you have a cell phone or a car, you want to hear this next story.
Which is most people.
Exactly. It's kind of the point here. This is important. In Jefferson City, some legislation that could, it's always posited as it will curb distracted driving. This legislation will make highways safer. Legislation to stop texting and driving, in effect.
These are the same people who, like 2 years ago, said you can drive a motorcycle without a helmet. I mean, seriously. And now they're like, but don't use your phone in your car. No way. And really, I mean, now, have you driven a new car lately? No. Okay, my car is old as well, but I rented a car. It was a BMW, and I did not pay to rent a BMW. I got really lucky. However, it was like driving a computer. It took me 10 minutes to get it out of the garage. Like, I'm serious. It was like I couldn't even figure how to get it on or get it in gear. And the screen, it was like a big screen TV on my dash. And so what? I can't use my phone, but I can play with the computer that now is the car.
Thank you, Stephanie. I get into, if I'm in a car and it's got a computer and stuff, that is far more distracting than me going 80 miles an hour down I-70 in rush hour trying to text Stephanie, hey, Stephanie, here's what's coming up on the show today. That's less distracting than those computers, I think. And I love it when I have somebody younger that gets into my car because I don't have, they're like, how do you back up? You don't have any backup cameras. Mm-hmm. I'm like, watch.
Now, I have never had a backup camera.
I never have had a backup camera either.
Me neither. But when I get some people, so Hannah is not part of all younger people, but people that have these cars, they get into my car and like, well, how do you back up? I'm like, hey, turn your neck.
I'm old school. No, I think it's crazy. And, so years and years ago, I worked in the legislature in the state house, and part of my job was writing letters back to people. And some people would write in about some pretty crazy stuff, right? And you'd say, thanks for your letter or whatever. But my favorite response was, you can't legislate common sense.
Nope. Matter of fact, Michael Trapp, former 2nd Ward Councilman, City of Columbia, he had a city thing. Technically, you're not supposed to text and drive within city limits of Columbia. And after much pressing, he eventually told us, yeah, it's just a window dressing piece of ordinance. Coming up, 8:10 here on 93.9 The Eagle. We're going to release the results of the poll we did on our website. Who you liking in the 2022 Senate race in the GOP?
President Biden's Supreme Court nominee has the votes to win confirmation today at the Capitol. Here's Fox's Jared Halpern.
Senate votes are set to confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson is the 116th justice to the U.S. Supreme Court and the first black woman ever to hold that title. Democrats had aimed for a swift confirmation after President Biden nominated Jackson in late February. A procedural vote to end the filibuster is scheduled for the 10 a.m. hour here. That will be followed by a final confirmation vote in the early afternoon. At least 3 Republicans have pledged support, along with all 50 Senate Democrats, to confirm Jackson. On Capitol Hill, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
A base housing American troops in eastern Syria has been hit by artillery. We're told there are 2 minor injuries and 2 fires were quickly put out. The Senate today is expected to vote on ending normal trade relations with Russia and banning oil imports over its invasion of Ukraine. The House passed both bills last month, and President Biden already enacted the oil ban through executive action. The trade suspension measure allows him to place higher tariffs on some Russian imports. A doctor in Northern California admits selling fake COVID-19 vaccine cards.
Naturopathic doctor Julie A. Massey pled guilty to 1 count of wire fraud and 1 count of false statements related to healthcare matters in what the Justice Department says is the first federal prosecution related to fraudulent CDC vaccination cards. Prosecutors say the 41-year-old doctor from Napa sold hundreds of phony vaccine cards that indicated customers received Moderna shots. Massey also sold homeopathic pellets that she fraudulently claimed would provide lifelong immunity to COVID-19. Federal authorities opened an investigation into Massey last April after the Department of Health and Human Services Office of Inspector General hotline received a complaint. She's scheduled to be sentenced in July. Steve Rappaport, Fox News.
Former President Trump says he wanted to march to the Capitol with supporters last January 6th, but the Secret Service wouldn't let him. He tells the Washington Post he would have gone there in a minute. He also says he doubts Florida Governor Ron DeSantis would want to run against him for president. America's listening to Fox News.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation's 9/11 Never Forget mobile exhibit is a tribute to all who lost their lives on September 11, 2001, or from 9/11-related illnesses. This high-tech 83-foot tractor trailer transforms into an 1,100-square-foot exhibit, a tool to educate people about 9/11. Visit it in a city near you and join Tunnel to Towers on its mission to do good and never forget. Donate $11 a month at T2T.org. That's T2T.org.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:03. We have bright sunshine right now. 43 in Columbia. It's 41 degrees in Jefferson City. Our high today will only be in the upper 40s. Good morning, everyone. Here's some of the stories we are working on for you in this 8 o'clock hour. While the UM system has been working to train more dentists, doctors, and pharmacists in the Show Me State, key state lawmaker says more must be done. Dexter State Representative Herman Morse will be testifying here in minutes at the Missouri Capitol in Jefferson City. He's at the podium right now about to testify in committee about a 2-page rural primary care physician tax credit bill. It's aimed at providing tax credits to doctors who practice and live in rural counties with less than 35,000 residents. That's most of the counties, especially in rural Missouri. Under his bill, those doctors would be able to claim a tax credit against their state tax liability in an amount equal to $15,000. Representative Morse has told 93.9 The Eagle that when he moved to Stoddard County, that's Dexter, Missouri, for those of you who've been there, Stoddard County, southeast Missouri, in the 1970s, there were 15 to 20 physicians who actually lived in the county. Today, that number is 1. It is a bipartisan bill, and they will also take testimony from other groups as well in a few minutes here at the Missouri Capitol. Meantime, a judge here in about an hour will be deciding the fate of a Columbia man charged with trying to kill his ex-wife and Boone County Judge Jeff Harris. ABC 17's Eric McGuire has been covering the bench trial involving Murdad Fatuhiam.
Fatuhiam has been in and out of jail since 2015 after posting a $5 million bond 2 different times. It was Judge Harris that put him back in jail the first time when Fatuhiam violated his bond by sending someone to get his medicine from his wife. While in jail, he allegedly tried to hire inmates to carry out the plot to kill his wife and Judge Harris. Fatuhiam allegedly wanted to kill his wife due to her wanting a divorce, and he didn't want to lose out on money.
ABC 17's Eric McGuire recapping this very complicated case. It all started with a 2014 arson on Rock Quarry Road. There was a woman inside that home that was injured in that fire. The case went all the way to the Missouri Supreme Court back in 2020, and Fatuhiam has already posted at least 2 different times $5 million bond, 2 different times apiece. He's posted that. Again, we should get a verdict here this morning. More than 19,000 Columbia residents cast ballots in Tuesday's mayoral election. Boone County Clerk Brianna Lennon says it's the most votes ever cast in a Columbia municipal election. She notes strong voter turnout city citywide, including a hotly contested third ward council race, which ended in a tie.
If you look at some of our city council races that we've had in the past, this tie was not a small tie where it was like, 100 votes to 100 votes. It was over 2,000 votes were cast in the third ward race.
Third ward councilman Carl Scala and challenger Roy Lovelady each received 1,102 votes. The military votes due tomorrow. You can hear the full Wake Up Columbia interview with Brianna Lennon. It's at 939theeagle.com. And you have a new dining option here in mid-Missouri, especially when you're traveling. Zimmer's Inside Columbia magazine reports Calwood businesswoman Becky Wright and her husband Casey have opened a popular new restaurant. It's called Banded Rooster Bar and Grill in Kingdom City. It's on Old Highway 40, not far from 70 and 54. Restaurant has a feel of an old-time saloon. They offer menu items like outlaw sandwiches. Becky Wright is the aunt to former Mizzou football star Drew Lock, who now plays for Seattle. The magazine reports Drew Lock recently attended an event at the Kingdom City restaurant with his aunt. He was on hand at the restaurant. We have pictures of it on our website along with the story, 939theeagle.com. Our news time is 8:07. Turning our attention now to sports. Opening day for the Cardinals at Busch Stadium today. All the Hall of Famers that are able to make it will be recognized today. They'll be brought in. Here Comes the King. You're going to hear the old version of that quite a bit today. Ernie Hayes used to be the organist there, did such a great job. Jeremy Boyer is their new organist. Potosi, Missouri, he does a great job as well. Herzog, Smith, Simmons, many others expected to be honored at pregame today. Clydesdales will be there as well. Pujols, Wainwright, Yadier Molina starting on opening day together for the first time since 2009. Pre-game coverage, and that's what a lot of people are interested in, especially on the radio, but television as well. At least the radio coverage will begin at 1:40. Kevin Wheeler will be your host today, live from KMOX here on the Eagle through the network, and the first pitch will be at about 3:15 today. Wainwright on the hill, Pittsburgh Pirates, the opponent today. Sports is brought to you this hour by Club Car Wash. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:08. Kevin, thank you. And for those of you who don't know, Kevin has announced that he is going to Denver to work in television there, and tomorrow will be his last day, and we certainly are sad to see him go. We appreciate his great work. Weather brought to you by Club Car Wash, clubcarwash.com. 43 degrees. Traffic is brought to you by MidMoHires.com. Local companies looking for local people. MidMoHires.com to find a job. Post your job opening today. It's 8:09. Roads pretty quiet in mid-Missouri. If we're missing something we need to know about, 874-9390, area code 573. Can call or text that number. Things have been pretty quiet. No precipitation today. It's going to be chilly, though. Have your jacket handy throughout the day, especially tonight. Any breaking news will break in immediately. Another update at the bottom of the hour. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
We think our message of somebody who has actually run a business and had experience in both the urban neighborhoods of St. Louis and now the rural areas at our family farm outside of Rolla is a combination that works for Missouri. And I cannot do it without Missouri's firefighters. This is the secret to success, and nobody should ever underestimate the power of what you guys can do and what you do for your communities. I want you all to know I'm the underdog.
Lieutenant Governor Mike Kehoe announcing yesterday he is going to run for governor of Missouri in 2024, doing an event for firefighters. And as the lieutenant governor, what does the lieutenant governor do?
Well, you preside over the Senate frequently, so you'll hear his voice. That's really the primary thing. But also, it's more than just figurehead, because you preside over the Senate, and then you're involved with veterans and you're kind of the advocate for seniors as well. It's not always positive. When we had the controversy last year about all the COVID deaths in the veterans' homes, he obviously was involved in that and involved in the investigation as well.
And the lieutenant governor, they're always a big proponent of the offices for Buy Missouri, which I dig. There's at least one grocery store, and there may be more, but I see all the time they have like aisles like, hey, this is made, and they tell you the town where it's made in Missouri, and I love that, and it'd be cool to see more people do that. Making it official, Jay Ashcroft, I don't think he's made it, hasn't said that he intends to file the run for that 2024 gubernatorial race, but I think it's widely known that Jay Ashcroft, Secretary of State, obviously good name branding there in the Ashcroft name. And besides all of that, very good, I think, at what he does. And we know the mindset. I always, especially the closer at home we get. I mean, presidential races, but when you start getting closer to home and you think about these folks in the same party that, you think, man, they get along and we like them all, and how do you parse through things like that? Which is one of the reasons we wanted to do some of our own polling. And real simple, we're not calling people within certain age ranges, but it's just on the website.
Didn't you promise to do that at 8:10?
And it's 8:12 now, so let's get to the result.
So you broke your promise?
I did break my. I need more emphasis on the ish.
You're full of ish.
Okay, so let me ask, before we get the actual numbers here, I will say I'm not really surprised. Anything about the results, about the final tally, surprised you at all, Steph?
No.
Yeah, I wasn't really too surprised either. I'm a little surprised that Mark McCloskey, Dave Schatz, actually, the two of them getting very little traction. And Mark McCloskey, he's not bad. I get it. He's kind of that wild card candidate. He's fun on the campaign trail. He's been to everything. As a matter of fact, he's going to be at our Boone County. You know who else is coming to our Boone County Lincoln Days event? And then the Lincoln Days events that I've been involved in over the years, I don't recall this happening, not even local media. I'm not saying it's never happened. Sure. I've never seen it. Kansas City Star.
Are they coming? Wow.
Yeah. That's why I'm like, uh-oh, what's really going to happen?
Yeah,
you've got a larger state news media coming into town. What's going on that we don't know?
Well, and I'll be there doing a couple interviews as well. I wasn't aware the Star was going to come, but I do think one of the big things I'm interested in is the two auditor candidates. It's the first time I've ever seen them in the same room.
So that'll be interesting. So tomorrow, Billy Long, Eric Schmidt, Mark McCloskey. No, we still don't know if Eric Schmidt is going to be, and it's interesting. That's kind of become a thing here because people are, from what I can tell, kind of surprised that our Attorney General, who's also putting in a strong campaign, poll numbers have consistently showed it's him and Hartzler and him. So folks here are talking like it's kind of surprising, and I don't know. Maybe he's got other things to do. I don't know what his deal is, but I'm surprised at the number of people that are kind of like, It's not just, Eric Schmidt's not going to be there. It's more like, that's kind of interesting. So when I look at the poll as a whole, Steph, really not a whole lot on here. Top four finishers. Fourth place, Eric Greitens. Billy Long comes in third. And I don't know what, I'm surprised his campaign hasn't gotten more traction. But again, we have some really good candidates in this race. Second, here's the one big surprise. I guess, actually, if there's anything that surprised me about this poll that we've been doing on 93.9 The Eagle, just want to see what folks here locally think about our Senate race, is the margin of victory for the first place finisher. Because most of the polls, it's Hartzler-Schmidt. Schmidt-Hartzler for a while. It was even Greitens. He's up there in a lot of them. But I was surprised at the victory of margin in our little impromptu poll on our 93.9 The Eagle website. Winning by almost a full, more than 40 points. Hartzler, top Schmidt, 63%, 21%.
I'm not surprised by that just because it's where we live. And I think a lot of people have been saying she has an advantage in out outside of St. Louis because the other folks are all mainly from St. Louis. And so, one of the main jobs of a congressional member is to do constituent services. And I know a lot of people here are familiar, with her and her office and have specifically asked her, hey, I'm having this issue. Can you help me? And so I think a lot of people in Mid-Mo have had probably personal interactions with her, whereas they might not have had a personal interaction with Schmidt. Now, I suspect if you were to go over to St. Louis, those numbers would be either flipped or, because he originally, I think he was out of Kirkwood, right?
He actually grew up in Bridgeton.
Okay.
But then moved to Glendale. But he's, I've seen Democrats on Twitter say he grew up in a rich West County neighborhood. That's not. He grew up in Bridgeton,
which is not a rich white West County neighborhood. As a St. Louis kid, no.
That's right. The town was essentially bulldozed for a runway that was never used. I mean, you and I both know that. That was amazing. And Billy Long. I'm surprised. He's been campaigning. He'll be there tomorrow. He still has to be taken seriously because he's a congressman from Southwest Missouri, and they generally get about 25 to 30% of a statewide Republican primary vote. I'm a little surprised by those numbers there.
Coming up, Michelle Gleba, Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau, is going to be joining us. Digital spring cleaning. What is it? Why is it important? She's going to be joining us about 8:50 this morning here on 93.9 The Eagle. Also in Jefferson City, there's legislation. You can call it, it's to curb distracted driving, or it's to make highways safer. And there's a story, actually, that's been talked about in Jefferson City, and it's a story that happened here in Columbia a couple years ago. You might remember this was up on, I think it was Grindstone. There was some kind of 5K or something in town, and a guy who had volunteered to be a part of this 5K race, he's walking down Grindstone following a truck picking up safety cones. Some gal speeding down Grindstone just west of 63 on a video chat on her cell phone, speeding, hits this guy, tosses him more than 100 feet, and he ends up dying. Remember, this kind of rallied around the family because it was a young family, and the dad, all of a sudden, he's not there anymore. So that's the story they're talking about in Jefferson City to push this. Meanwhile, and by the way, I say, okay, go ahead and do it. I'll go back to what Michael Trapp, former city councilman in Columbia, told us several years ago. It's window dressing. We know we can't really enforce it. It gives us a tool. It's leverage if somebody does mess up. We say you're distracted driving. Here's, we can heap on more during the sentencing. But this is interesting because I'm not sure how I feel about this. A high school and this is Steelville. So, like, you ever go on them float trips on the Huzzah or Huzzah?
The Huzzah.
Yeah. Down by Lebanon, Missouri.
I've been to the Huzzah a lot. It's pretty fun.
Have you ever been to Lebanon? All right. But down in so you're familiar with the area, Steelville, high school there, they're banning cell phones. And here's their letter. In the letter to parents, they're saying here's why. Because I remember Trevor was in the second grade. Now, he's 29 now, so when he first started asking for a cell phone, kids with phones in schools didn't happen. And he asked for a phone. I'm like, and now I'm kind of surprised when I don't see kids with cell phones in schools. Mm-hmm. But apparently it causes problems. Go figure. You have the world in the palm of your hand, or you're in a classroom listening to trigonometry. Which one are you going to choose? I'll choose Wordle any day of the week.
Yeah, I mean, when I was growing up, phones weren't you couldn't have them in your hand. They were like stuck in your car in like a bag or something. So, we didn't really have that problem. And then I, have coworkers and other folks in my life that had kids. And I think, cell phones were kind of banned. You got in trouble if you had your phone out during class. And we've moved all the way away from that, where phones are just part of a kid's natural life. But you think about it and it's like, okay, like literally, I think kids would skip school. I think they would be like, you know what, I'm just not going today because I'm not going to give my phone up. And then also we have smartwatches and now they're like smart glasses. Mm-hmm. I mean, iPads. I mean, my kids are young in elementary school and they're on like computers and iPads all day long. So we're expecting that to take away their phones. I just think it's not going to work. It's going to make kids super mad.
Kids aren't going to listen to it anyways.
Yeah, they're going to sneak the phone, right?
That's what they do already. Like most schools say that they don't allow phones. What do kids do? They take them in the bathroom. They hide it under their desk. Like, it's not going to change anything.
So here's a concern of some of the administrators at this school in Steelville that's banning phones. Students are using phones while in locker rooms. Matter of fact, when I go to the gym, if you're watching on YouTube, somebody said every time I mention the gym, which I haven't been to, well, I did go once in the past 30 days, I should kiss my biceps every time. if you're watching on YouTube, you saw it. But we have signs in our gym that say, please, no, don't take your cell phone out in the locker room.
That's fair.
Yeah. Making videos and posting on TikTok. Why does everybody hate on TikTok? I'm not a fan of TikTok. I don't care that it's owned by China.
I was about to say, you're one of the haters of TikTok.
Well, I don't like it, but I don't think TikTok is responsible for the ills of kids today. Everybody wants to blame something. It's the parenting. It's not TikTok. It's part of an overall bigger picture. So when people say, well, TikTok is bad, it shouldn't do this.
Yeah, I mean, whether or not you're filming a TikTok and you should be in school, or whether you're smoking weed on the bus with your bus driver and you should be in school, Brandon. I mean, it's not TikTok's fault.
No, it wasn't TikTok's fault. It was nobody's fault. I was getting high with the bus driver. You know who's to blame? Me. Certainly wasn't my parents. It was me.
Plus, have you seen those on, it's Forbes and Wall Street Journal that have said that the top TikTok stars made more than half of America's CEOs last year? So maybe we should be encouraging our kids, hey, go get that cash, be a TikTok star.
Pictures being taken of other students in the classroom without permission and then being posted to social media. That's a big, deep, dark gray area, by the way.
Bullying in general, I think, is a concern always in school.
Students taking cell phones into the bathrooms and taking video and stuff there. So I'm thinking, if I had a kid in high school right now, I would hope that I could just rely on, Trevor, don't be an idiot. If you're in class, be in class. Keep the cell phone. Hell, I don't care. Stick it in your sock or something.
But that's one point that I hear from some of my good friends in the criminal justice, reform movement, and my friend Jennifer Bukowski, for being lenient on people who make mistakes as youth. And I think she says something like, were you ever more stupid than you were at 17? No, you weren't. And so, no, you can't trust your high schooler not to make stupid decisions. Kids are going to make stupid decisions. But I think the larger point is they're going to make stupid decisions regardless of whether they have a phone or not. And you can try to counsel them, and I think there are other measures schools can take to try to encourage them to make better decisions. But
off the text, 874-9390. It's lack of parenting. Yeah, I agree. Kids shouldn't have phones and cell phones in school. I would try to rely on the common sense of my son, Trevor. Before we move forward into the Morning Bell with Stephanie Bell, business news with that little twist that only Stephanie can give you. Sydney Olson, Public Information Officer, City of Columbia, talking to those of us in the media. This ABC 17 talking about what's next in that third ward council race. It's in a dead heat right now.
The city clerk can call for a special election, and then there's also another option if candidates both agree to it for there to be a drawing.
So they're saying there's some options. Don't know what's going to happen because we still have provision.
Local opinion? We've got your back. Wake Up Columbia on 93.9 The Eagle.
Good morning, 8:28 time for the Morning Bell business news with that little twist that only Stephanie Bell can give you.
Would you live at Disney World if given the chance?
You mean prior to today's current political and social climate that they have at Disney? I feel like I'm in the minority and I've really missed out. I have never, ever been to Disney.
What?
And I used to live in California. I lived in Florida and never went to Disneyland or Disney World.
They have. So they've had bad news lately, and I think they haven't handled it correctly, and I think we've been over that. But what they are doing, and I think this is interesting because I think like when we talked about Ukraine and in some of the other situations, that sometimes private businesses step up and kind of do the work where the government fails. And I think we can rely on them in a lot of ways. And so I guess down in Orlando, the housing prices are so crazy that people can't afford to live, and they need workers just like anyone else. So Disney has announced plans for 13 affordable housing units on 80 acres of land in Orlando. And I think that's really interesting because it's like, I think Disney World's so clean and fun. I think like they would be really good at building apartments or whatever they're doing. And then B, they're saying like there's not affordable places for people to live down here. And as a private business, we're going to step up and make sure it happens.
And affordable according to who? That's when you're talking about prices that are affordable according to who. Coming up, I think we have another episode of Saki v. Ducey, and we're getting more suggestions on the heels of What's Hot with Hannah, the Jill, Cracker Jill instead of Cracker Jacks. We have more suggestions for politically correct candy bars coming up at 8:35.
Weather checks brought to you by Club Car Wash. Stop by Club Car Wash to get an unlimited membership for just $20 a month. See more details at clubcarwash.com.
Fox News, I'm Lillian Wu. Senate votes are set to confirm Judge Ketanji Brown Jackson to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Democrats had aimed for a swift confirmation after President Biden nominated Jackson in late February. A procedural vote to end the filibuster is scheduled for the 10 a.m. hour here. That will be followed by a final confirmation vote in the early afternoon. At least 3 Republicans have pledged support, along with all 50 Senate Democrats, to confirm Jackson.
Fox's Jared Halpern. And it's Major League Baseball's opening day among the 7 games today.
The Cubs taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. The Cleveland Guardians will battle the Royals in KC. Pittsburgh takes on the Cards in St. Louis. The Mets and Nats in the nation's capital. Tyler McGill will get the start for New York. The Reds will face the defending World Series champs, the Atlanta Braves, at Truist Park.
Fox's Tushar Saxena. America's listening to Fox News.
.93.9 The Eagle News Time with Robinson's Cleaners. Robinson saves you time. It is 8:31, bright sunshine here in Columbia. It's 44 degrees, 42 in Jefferson City. Good morning, and here's some of the stories that we are working on for you at this hour. A daycare in mid-Missouri's Osage County has had its license suspended.
The Department of Elementary and Secondary Education has suspended the child care license of a Lynn daycare because staff allegedly gave unknown medications to children to calm them down at nap time. DESE investigated a complaint that staff at the Busy Bee Learning Academy in Lynn and the owner, Tanya Newbound, were giving children gummies and powdered milk at nap time. Investigators say Newbound told them the gummies were herbal supplements to help the kids sleep. The Osage County Sheriff's Office is also investigating. John Marsh, 93.9 The Eagle.
John, thanks. Motorists in Jefferson City will notice the state capitol was lit teal today, early this morning, to recognize Sexual Assault Awareness Month. Governor Parson ordering the dome to be lit teal, calling attention to the Awareness Month and also in solidarity with everyone who has been a victim of sexual assault. The majority of rural Missouri counties don't have enough doctors. A rural lawmaker hoping to change that. Dexter State Representative Herman Morse testifying right now as we speak in Jefferson City. before House committee about his rural primary care doctor tax credit bill. Under his bill, a primary care physician who practices and lives in a Missouri county with fewer than 35,000 residents would be able to claim the tax credit. And a new restaurant is opening Kingdom City near I-70. It's owned by the aunt of former Mizzou football star Drew Lock. It is called Banded Rooster Bar and Grill. Our news brought to you this hour by Hemi Construction. Our news time, 8:33. In sports, some people take the day off. A lot of kids sometimes have been known to stay home from school over the years for opening day for the St. Louis Cardinals, and you will have the opportunity to go to the game today. Should be a big crowd. 3:15 is the first pitch. If you can't go, you can catch it right here on 93.9 The Eagle, your home for Cardinal baseball all season. Pre-game coverage at 1:40. Kevin Wheeler will handle the pre-game coverage today from the facilities of KMOX Radio in St. Louis. All the Hall of Famers will be honored. Clydesdales will be there as well. Adam Wainwright on the mound for St. Louis against the Bucks, the Pittsburgh Pirates. Dylan Carlson projected to be starting as the leadoff hitter in right field. That's according to Cardinals.com. You'll recall he had 18 home runs as a rookie. This projected lineup on Cardinals.com has O'Neill batting third out and left, Arenado at third batting cleanup, Pujols batting fifth in the designated hitter position. Tommy Edman would bat ninth in this projected lineup and play second. We'll see what happens coming up today. 93.9 The Eagle News Time, 8:34. Traffic check, MidMoHires.com. Local companies are looking for local people. MidMoHires.com to find a job or to post your job opening. Today, roads are pretty quiet, have been here in mid-Missouri today. If you do want to report a traffic issue, you can call or text us, 573-874-9390. More team coverage in less than 30 minutes. We have breaking news immediately. I'm Brian Hauswirth, 93.9 The Eagle.
Hey, it's Harrison Bader from the St. Louis Cardinals. He's 6'1", weighs 210, bats right, has an IQ of 160. Come on, really, man. He's 5'6" and weighs 205. He doesn't even know what IQ means. Here's Branden Rathert on Hot Talk 93.9 The Eagle.
Girlies say I'm pretty fly for a white guy. Undersold the weight there when he said 205 and highly oversold the IQ. There, Harrison Bader, Cardinals. Folks want to know, did you say Albert Pujols in his final season as a major leaguer playing for the Cardinals is going to be the designated hitter?
That's the projected lineup on the Cardinals.com website, and obviously the Cardinals know what's going on their website, so I have a feeling that they probably I have a feeling they're involved in that article.
So the questions we're getting is the DH in the National League now? Because for folks that don't know, designated hitter is something they have only in the American League, and then during interleague play in the World Series, whenever the home team is the American team, it's just. But with the designated hitter, the pitcher doesn't bat.
Right.
Somebody goes up and bats for him. I've never liked that concept.
I don't like it either.
Never liked it. I'll confess it might be because. Well, that's the way we've always done it, and it's the way it should be. But 9 guys get on the field, 9 guys go up to the plate and bat, and that's what you have. And you have the good old days. Adam Wainwright has been a pretty fair hitter over his big league career. Jim Cott with the St. Louis Cardinals. I think Bob Forsch was a fairly decent hitter.
Bob Forsch hit a lot of home runs, no doubt about it. Wainwright has been known to do that. Jim Cott, you're absolutely right. Warren Spahn was a tremendous hitter. Max Scherzer did something a couple times. I remember Max Scherzer at least one game last year, and I realize he's, people just love him here in this area. He moved Wainwright off the plate. That kind of bothered me a little bit.
Max Scherzer, of course, pitched here for Mizzou.
He did, but generally, and of course, with his pedigree, he's got and Wainwright, I'm sure has probably moved people back, but, I don't know. I'm mixed on it, but it's just going to be odd in that you won't see. Phil Niekro was another one. I remember him hitting a couple of home runs.
So, yeah, we'll have a designated hitter, and it's very likely most days going to be Albert Pujols. Interesting to see. Not only is it Albert Pujols' final year, very likely. Yadier Molina says it's his last year. We've kind of heard that talk before. Adam Wainwright. So should be an incredible season. Cardinals baseball. You can hear it this afternoon here on 93.9 The Eagle. Right now, this is Wake Up Columbia. Stephanie Bell, your thoughts on the designated hitter in the National League?
Yay, sports.
There's Brian Hauswirth, of course. Hannah, the producer, is here.
Good morning.
Something we can do for you, please let us know. 874-9390. It's going to be kind of interesting. Coming up 8:50, Michelle Gleba, Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau. She is joining us. Digital spring cleaning. What is it? Why is that important? Actually, kind of interesting. So we need to get ready for another episode because I love when this happens in the White House. Whenever Fox's Pete Ducey. Especially people in Texas. So many people think about illegal immigration. Oh, you don't want brown people here? What about the melting pot of America? Well, what about Rancher Joe, who every day is having to rebuild fence that he's paying for? How about the family that's having to make sure, especially, hey, we can't let our kids in the backyard during certain times of the day because we don't know who's coming across that border and who's coming through our property. We don't know who's trampling our agriculture fields. Those people, they're having to pay for all that stuff. Every day when Rancher Joe's fence he's got to go out and he's got to repair it. And then the taxpayer dollars from people of Texas, not even federal taxpayer dollars, but the people of Texas. And what they're paying in taxes so they can control this problem because the feds will not do it. So we know Title 42 is coming to an end. That gave American authorities, it gave more authority to say, hey, listen, so number one, you're coming here illegally. We got to turn you around, but now we can do it quicker. So they're lifting that, which doesn't make any sense. And now, we give them cell phones. We give them health care. We give them food.
A free trip to D.C.
I love what the governor of Texas is doing.
Apparently, he's sick and tired of having to pay for this problem when he's asked the federal government for help and they're not helping. And he said, fine, you deal with them. So he's putting them on the bus and sending them to D.C. And they said at one point, they had access to 900 buses.
So they're sending them to D.C. and say, listen, this is what we're dealing with every single day. We'll send them to D.C. You use your taxpayer dollars. You deal with it because you're not doing anything about it here. Okay, so now we give them cell phones too. Fox's Pete Ducey asked Jen Psaki about this.
You guys are starting to give smartphones to border crossers, hoping that they'll use the phones to check in or to be tracked. Which part of that is supposed to deter people from crossing illegally into the states?
Well, I think you, of all people, since you've asked me a range of questions on this topic over time, would recognize that we need to take steps to ensure that we know where individuals are and we can track and we can check in with them. The Alternatives to Detention program is what we utilize as 3 unique forms of...
whatever. Alternatives to Detention program. Let's give them a cell phone. But I'm wondering, if I'm trying to be fair, does that make sense? Okay, yeah, we do want to track you. We want to know where you're going because we put you on these airplanes, send you to strange cities in the cover of night and let you go. We'll give you a cell phone and track you, which is scary too. If they could do it to them, do it to us. 874-9390, 874-9390. By the way, she goes on, she really, and I'll say this too, because Pete Ducey actually started off the question by saying, hey, our Fox team in Texas has found out, and for contacts that we don't get the benefit of on the radio, but Jen Psaki looks kind of like surprised, and she turns the page, in her book, which they have a book up there because there's a gazillion topics they've got to know something about, or at the very least have the notes. But Jen Psaki she's trying to answer the question, and that's another great point of deflection that they teach you. When somebody asks you a question, you don't have the answer, or you don't know, or you don't want to answer, you flip it back and ask them a question. Pete's question was, how does giving cell phones to illegal immigrants, how does that help stop the immigration problem? Jen Psaki's answer was the question, are you aware of instances where... Let's go back to the St. Louis Cardinals. Something to feel good about today. Too bad it's going to be chilly for opening day. This is a religion, I think, for not just St. Louis area, a lot of folks in Missouri. You can hear the Cardinals game today on 93.9 The Eagle. Brent, welcome into the show. What can we do for you, bud?
Hey, good morning. Go Cardinals.
Hey, man.
I'm going to be flipping back and forth today watching the Cardinals and the Masters tournament. And that DH, get rid of it. It's like Tom Hanks said in that movie, play baseball.
Baseball. I'm with. I just no. And the American League, by the way, should get rid of the
I
designated
agree.
hitter.
Here's something else too. Now, and I'm serious on this. I was checking. It was about 3 or 4 days ago. I read on Facebook a Facebook post, kind of a yucky thing, but I read Albert Pujols is getting a divorce.
Yeah, his wife Deidre, who just recently had surgery for.
Brain tumor.
Brain tumor.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know, but I have no idea why. Reason it's not my business, but I know when they went from St. Louis out to California, okay, and they was out there, that's where she wanted to be. So I kind of wonder if him signing up for a year with the Cardinals might have had something to do with it.
Wow. Conspiracy theory amongst divorces from pro athletes. I like where your head's at this morning, Brent, because it's a great alternative to some of the other things we are covering. Bless you, brother. Go Cardinals.
Go Cards.
All right. We will see you. By the way, before we move forward, because I do want to chat with digital spring cleaning, what it is, why it's important. Michelle Gleba, Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau, is going to be joining us. But I do want to wrap up a couple of loose ends here regarding text 874-9390 and alternatives. So the phones, we're giving illegal immigrants cell phones now. We're feeding them, bathing them, I guess giving them places to live, giving them everything. Here you go. And here's a cell phone, by the way. Jen Psaki says it's an alternative. Giving them a cell phone is an alternative to detention because now they have a cell phone. And now that they have the cell phone, they will show up for any administrative or court hearings that they might have, and we can track them. Mike has a great suggestion. An alternative to detention programs is also to turn them around and send them home. Thank you.
Fair.
Sometimes it's that simple. And one more suggestion. What's Hot with Hannah today? We do What's Hot with Hannah every morning, 7:25-ish. And the one today, Cracker Jack, is coming out. Are they completely moving to Cracker Jill, or it's just a special edition?
It's not a special edition, I don't think.
It's an edition too?
Yeah, it's edition.
Okay.
So when you buy a bag, it could either say Cracker Jack or Cracker Jill.
So, Cracker, because we got to politically correct. And we got to what other candy bar? What if other candy bars had politically correct names? Great one this morning was Mr. Good Bar. Can no longer be Mr. Good Bar. It's got to be MX. Is that a thing too? MX Good Bar.
It's like the Latinx thing.
Latinx, okay. So it would be...
The X just means it's gender neutral.
Okay. And then Hershey. This was I love John's thinking here. Hershey. Her, she. What about he, him? What about the he, him bar? You want a Hershey bar or a he, him bar? I fully expect Hershey, on the heels of what Cracker Jack has done with Cracker Jill, Hershey's going to come out with a candy bar because we have Hershey. So now we got to have a he, him. Or they, he.
Her, him?
A he, him. A her, he.
Okay.
I want a him, he bar.
This is her heing my brain.
Payday. We're going to have to change the name of the Payday candy bar to the Universal Income Day bar. I love that. That one will get some nominations for winners and losers of the week tomorrow. We appreciate you being here with us on Wake Up Columbia. Coming up 8:53, Michelle Gleba, Better Business Bureau, Digital Spring Cleaning. What is it, and why should we all be doing this? That's coming up at 8:53 on 93.9 The Eagle.
93.9 The Eagle presents Wake Up Columbia with this dude over here.
I don't know what the hell I'm doing up in here.
Whatever. 93.9 The Eagle.
It's all freaking me out, man. It's just freaking me out.
Just a portion of a phone caller from yesterday. Somebody who's like-minded like us, talking about things that are happening locally. I love that. That's one of those calls that gets highlighted on days like tomorrow. Feel Good Friday tomorrow here on Wake Up Columbia with Stephanie Bell, Hannah, the producer, Brian Hauswirth. My name is Branden Rathert. Thank you for being here. Michelle Gleba from the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau is joining us on the show this morning. A lot of folks in St. Louis. I know in St. Louis, I don't know how passionate they are in Kansas City, and I'm not dismissing Royals fans, but in St. Louis, like when I was a kid in school, you got off of school to go to opening day to see the Cardinals at Busch Stadium. Today is the real start of spring for Cardinals fans. But spring, we do spring cleaning, we do all this. Good time to do digital spring cleaning. Michelle, Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau. First of all, what is digital cleaning?
So, this is the time of year, as you said, that many people are, cleaning and they're clearing out their clutter. So we just want to remind folks, hey, don't forget about your digital data. So this is basically taking simple, proactive steps that's going to go a long way in safeguarding against a number of potentially disruptive issues such as identity theft, loss of funds, or credit card fraud. And you should focus not just on your computer, but on your smartphone, your laptop, tablet, and even your smartwatches, fitness trackers, and other smart devices.
So how do I do it? Because I think, to me, spring cleaning is, I get proud. I'm like, I'll go through it. Like if I'm sitting in an airport or something, I'm like, yeah, I don't need that picture anymore. I can delete that. Definitely don't want that picture anymore. I can delete.
Right.
To me,
goodness.
to me, stop it. To me, that's digital cleaning, but I need to go deeper.
Absolutely. So we encourage you to do things like lock down your login. So make sure that you ensure your passphrases for each account are lengthy, unique, and safely stored. You want to enable that two-factor authentication on all your accounts that offer it. You want to make sure that you have the most current software, web browsers, and operating systems. You want to protect your personal and workplace data by making electronic copies or backups of your most important files. You want to clean up your online presence. So do you really need all those apps that's on your smart device? And be careful what you share online. So think about that. Do you really need to do that quiz that's going to tell people information about you?
Is there an app? Here's the thing with all the passwords and stuff. And I know people say, well, you shouldn't make this password the same as that one. And I've got a few that I kind of remember, but then I don't know which password goes with who.
The worst.
But people say, well, you need to store your passwords on your phone. I don't know. I defer to Hannah and Stephanie on this stuff, but to me, that just sounds like the worst idea possible.
There's password managers now, which I use. There's services that help you do that.
Yes.
All right. So digital spring cleaning, computers, smartphones. Make sure there's stuff that you don't want on there, and the apps, and. Here's the thing with me. I had to go and get help. How do I delete an app? I can move it around, but I can't get rid of it. This is a 51-year-old dude, Michelle Gleba. Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau. She is here. Also, we always, the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau has so many resources, whether you're a consumer or a business owner. If you get onto their website, bbb.org. But one of the things we do is we do keep track. Sometimes there's local businesses and sometimes there's complaints. But the bigger thing, and a business is going to get complaints and compliments, but sometimes the real issue becomes when we can't get any answers.
Correct.
And we saw something like this locally recently.
Absolutely. So we issued a consumer warning earlier this week against a Holt Summit business by the name of Bath Transformations, LLC. Several consumers had reported to us that this company failed to start or finish projects, did not provide refunds, failed to contact customers, and provided poor overall customer service. And as you said, when complaints like this aren't being resolved, and when we've reached out to the company and we have not received a response, at that point, we issue a consumer warning simply to let the public know that if you decide to do business with this particular company, we want you to use caution because of the pattern of complaints that we've seen.
And to be clear, too, so the Better Business Bureau, Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau, when you guys get complaints, you just don't go, oh, okay, we'll post these on the website. And I know because I had to utilize the services of the Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau last year when I had issues with Allegiant Airlines. The Better Business Bureau goes and tries to make it right before they start issuing things like, hey, just so you know, we've had this, we've had that. Michelle Gleba, Mid-Missouri Better Business Bureau. Love the tips on digital spring cleaning. Always good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Coming up, it's my dad's favorite part of the day. He gets to listen to the Gary Nolan Show online. Next thing I have to do is add an app onto my dad's phone so he can listen to 93.9 The Eagle on the app on his smart.